tell Satan around here and Christ and all the other. Welcome to Outliers in Exile. Hey, Plasma. Live from the outskirts of exile. That is, yes. we we have like our little food truck set up there. Agmatic, welcome. So it's just open panel today. We did a members only live stream. I really encourage you to join that new tier. Not just because it helps me, but I think we have the beginnings of something good going, and I don't want you to miss out. Remember, you know how people are always talking about how we want something more from YouTube or the Panelverse than the same looping drama. People don't have the kind of conversations that, well, this is that chance. This is that little opening, that little space to have that something different happen. We had a few panelists and it's kind of like a live stream when there's nobody listening or watching. It's like the little private room in the back. Oh, Plasma, I need to find a way to get you a membership. You would like them. We could talk more freely, let's say, and I don't monetize them, so there's not ads to worry about. And so it was kind of like just us talking. And it's a chance to really, I think, do some stronger community building than just open panels are able to do. So I'm going to keep those going. I'm going to do about 2 a week for now until we grow. And then I'll add in more. But it was kind of the same but different. Definitely no drama. So all the drama stuff was gone. But it was kind of the same but different because of that kind of privacy feel to it, where we weren't in front of the whole world as an audience. So we were kind of just having conversations, like if we were hanging out in person and it was just us at a table. We were having those kind of conversations instead of us at a table with a whole audience of people watching. So I'd say it went well, and I see great potential in it. I look forward to the next one, which will probably be the next couple of days, maybe Wednesday. So other than that, what's been going on? Oh, we have a guest. Welcome. You know him. Some of you love him. Most of you love him. The original OG. I guess that's redundant.
Some of you love him? Some of you?
What?
Only some of you love him? No.
I mean, I don't know I assume people do. You don't really have a lot of drama with other people.
True.
But I didn't want to make like an absolute statement of we all love him and have those one or two people out there that can't stand you. Be not counted. You know, very inclusive here.
That would be weird. Wait, actually, give me 10 seconds and I'm gonna fix so I can have a camera. Because
Okay.
So you're not alone.
Okay. Although I don't mind. I don't even notice at this point. So it looks like we'll hear from. He just had his Norwegian election and his side lost. I think the leftist won, and so he's been dealing with that.
Well, there's nothing necessarily bad coming out of it just yet. But if this, this may be insensitive to say, but part of me wishes that all the Kirk drama would have happened like a week earlier, because then the right definitely would have won in Norway.
Which problem?
The Charlie Kirk.
You think so? It would have made the difference?
Yes, because I think a lot of normal people, they saw the way that on the left reacted, and you know,
I
Norway
saw it
is
after Trump's attempt. I
true,
saw the same
true, true,
thing.
true. But like Norway is distanced from Trump. He's a public figure, but Norway is very in tune with sort of, the everyday man, and you have to be proper and like be humane. And the reaction, like our one of the biggest names in one of our political parties just got fired and kicked out of her party because she celebrated the passing of Kirk. So like we got the turnover of politicians in Norway because of that, and that was on the left, of course. So it's
Well, I guess maybe he wasn't Scandinavian or
no, she
Swedish.
wasn't. She was some sort of, I don't know, Indian, Pakistani. I don't know what she was. Amrit Kaur. I don't know what language that name is, but she was member of the Communist Party, so you
Do
know
they
her
have a
from
like a
before.
student politi like young college Republicans or whatever the version would be there that you could get involved in on your campus?
Uh, no, and that's one of my biggest complaints is that the sort of college politics is just about internal politics of that college. So who should be leader of this and this org at that college? There's no sort of national politics at a college, unfortunately.
Oh, really? Because I think that's one of the things Charlie Kirk was famous for. He started that Turning Point USA, which was a college political
Yeah,
movement. So start something like that there.
maybe. Although I don't know how involved. I want to be more the indirect,
Oh,
participant in politics. The guy who writes books or whatever. I don't know if I want to
I
be
thought
the.
you wanted to run at some point.
Maybe it's a possibility I haven't
I wish you could
denied.
come run here in America.
I mean, I'm way too young either way. Uh, okay, I suppose this must work. My hair is not good at all. It's like really
Oh,
bad. I
it's
don't have any product.
that yellowish.
Uh, Piss
Yeah,
yellow. I don't know. It looks a bit too dark if
I'd
I
go to the
turn
doctor.
off the light. I mean, it works, I
It looks good
suppose.
like that. That work. It's less bright yellow, neon yellow, piss
It's
yellow.
just the hair. It doesn't play well with having a headset on. Not
Mm.
that I have that nice of a hair either way. I'm bad at styling. So,
Yeah, me too.
uh, but I don't like being in the dark. I'm a solar person. I like the sun. I like the light. I
Well, they'd be in the light. Either pick vanity or
But this
comfort.
is so ugly. This is disgusting. I'm I'm conflicted.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, yes. Well, welcome to our
okay,
world.
okay. Vanity wins. Vanity wins.
It probably would for me too, because that doesn't look that bad. It you
No,
look more natural that way, and it
yeah,
softens you.
and it isn't that
It feels
complicated.
dark to you, but on screen it looks more normal.
I mean, the reason I complain is that I don't like my keyboard being dark and the area around the screen. Like if the keyboard is dark, then typing is harder. Oh, I can
Are you scared of the dark?
No, but it's my eyes. It's better
Oh,
for eyes if there isn't such a sharp contrast. You can see it in the window behind me. Like look at the sharp contrast between the wall and uh, and the thing. Why would I have a cap? I love my hair. I don't like a cap because it's so sweaty. And also, if you wear a cap, your hair doesn't get as blonde because the sun bleaches your hair. So if you wear a cap all summer, your hair stays brown and dark.
oh, I read cat too. Like get a pet cat, a therapy animal, and it'll help you feel. You could pet the cat when you stress out about your hair.
Oh, I just skipped cat. I just read it as cap. But I think that's because I saw his second message
I think it's because of all
simultaneously
the
as the first.
mangies around. There's a
True,
cat theme already going, so I was biased.
true. I mean, I already have a cat, just not up here in Trondheim. It's at home. So, I'll meet him whenever I'm home, whenever that is. Ay, ay, ay. But yeah, I I feel good, actually. I feel
How school?
energized.
Because
It's
yeah, you were kind of um,
halfway down the dumps.
not necessarily. You were angry. You were like,
True.
you were in a mood.
I was, but
But
I mean, it was
it was an understandable one 'cause after the
yeah,
election.
yeah. Election, Kirk, Irina, my grandmother, in addition to uh, various realizations about Norway. Uh, yeah, not exactly. Speaking of, I just discovered today that the official state channel of Norway, um, technically it's supposed to be neutral, but it has special guidelines for American politics. It's specifically obligated to report from a democratic point of view against the Republicans. That's official policy of the state media. So, like, no wonder they're leftists. No wonder they are hate Trump. That's because the Rikskringkastingsrådet, the sort
This
of
is like
council,
part of your law in your law.
not law, but it's part of the internal guidelines for the state media. So if you don't follow that, your articles don't get published. You may get kicked out. But it's not as if law, like you're allowed to be Trump supportive in Norway, but it's no, in the state media, it's mandated. The same with climate. That's just taken as a fact that you have to support it no matter what, and specifically the UN definition of climate change and what they propose to fix it and whatever. Um, that this has been going on for a long time. It's sort of, I didn't realize how much power the Rikskringkastingsrådet, it's a really funny word because I love the word. It sounds cool, but translated to English, you don't have an English word for it, but it would be the Reich Broadcasting Council, because you don't have a domestic word for Reich. You have adopted the German one, but you used to have. This is a tangent, but it's a really fun tangent. I love these sort of linguistic stuff. So the English word for Reich, it died out. However, you still have it in words like kingdom. Like in Norwegian, kingdom is kongerike, the king's Reich. The English word is kingdom, king's dom. Like dom is the English
Like
word for Reich, but he
dominant.
lost it. Yeah, and probably also the same etymology as domain and
Daddy.
and dominant, dominus. So maybe a Latin phrase. Either way, the sort of central council of media, whatever, they I didn't realize that they had already sort of put aside neutrality in favor of loyalty to certain politics. I thought it was more a recent thing, but this has been going on for at least over a decade. I thought it was like the last 3 years that they
That seems
increased it.
newsworthy though. Like that would be really important and controversial, and people would step up and try to do something.
Yeah, well, they are the ones who can report on it, and the other private media, they they're also very left wing, and they are reliant on state support for funding, I think, and also state license to be able to go on cable television. And so if they step away from the council dogma, they may risk themselves. So
What
they're
is
just
Norway like over here or the rest of the world where they have access to all this individual social media?
oh sure we have, but most people. Oh, why is my camera lagging so much?
I don't know. It just flashed too.
Yeah. But no, in Norway, we all have access, obviously, but most people don't use it because we have very high trust in our media. We have exceptional high trust in our media.
Oh, well, maybe that's the problem when they're blatantly
Yeah,
admitting that they're biased toward one political ideology. And if everybody
it is the
knows that,
problem.
how can that high trust and that coexist at the same time? Oh, we're gonna be biased toward one party and not the other. Oh, well, we trust you. That doesn't make sense.
Fair.
Norwegians sound like idiots. What's wrong with them?
Well, that's because historically our view towards media was founded in the early days when we had what's called a media monopoly. It was only the state channel, and it was obligated to be neutral. So it was forced to hire reporters from every part of the political spectrum, or else you would get fired. Directors were all appointed with only neutrality as the primary purpose and goal, and if they don't report, there's no reason for them to exist, and so their very existence is reliant on being neutral. But then, once the media monopoly was ended in the 80s, by the right wing, to be fair, so this is not just a left wing problem, the media monopoly was ended by the right wing, but they kept the state media. And so what happened was that, okay, you have private media, can do what they want, and then the state media, it no longer needs to uphold that sort of neutrality because, well, the private media can handle the diversity, even though it doesn't. It's just left wing and center. There's no proper right wing voice in private media, but still, now it was no longer as paramount for state media to be neutral. So the sort of our cultural views and connection with the media was formed when it the media would die if it wasn't neutral. People would lose their jobs if they weren't neutral and showing the whole spectrum. And then when they stopped, our sort of trust just stayed there. We kept the trust from
That's
the times
stupid.
when,
Like y'all are just blindly trusting and not reassessing what it is that you're. You
yeah.
have to constantly update your trust.
But people don't
It
interact much with the media. That's the thing. Our lives aren't that dependent on the media. It's just
well
that,
then it shouldn't have a, it shouldn't matter then. It shouldn't even have an effect if
well,
they're biased toward the left or not.
it it doesn't matter on the things where the media does matter, but specifically for international stuff and the election. That's the only sort of times people really just use the media, which is unfortunate, I think. And it's one of the big issues with Norwegian cultures, among many. I love Norway. I'm nationalistic towards Norway, but it has a lot of issues. It's not the perfect culture. Um, and part of that is sort of unjustified high trust or unjustified default high trust. We can be low trusting people. If someone has proven this, untrustworthy, we don't trust them anymore. But it's our default level of trust is very high, so we're very vulnerable to malicious actors. And when society is ordered in such a way that there's very few malicious actors, that's a good thing because society is now smoother, more efficient, more unified. But the moment it's infiltrated by malicious actors, then your high trust is a very big negative. And I think it's America is safer towards that because you have more of that frontier culture, that individualism. It doesn't matter if you have a high trust. You sort of, on principle, wants to be more individualistic about your choices. Whilst in Norway, it's like, okay, they're right about this, 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 and this. So that. Why should I bother spending my precious brain power on figuring out if they're right on thing six? So I'll just trust them at that point. And again, that is a good evolutionary strategy, but it's not all encompassing and it's not the best at all. It has its faults, and right now those problems are exploited. I would say they are exploited, and perhaps maliciously so. I mean, I just I asked a few days ago. I know this is going to get into conspiratorial territory, uh, but a few days ago I asked ChatGPT to just figure out how many people in the countries of the UK, France, Germany, Italy, and Norway are members of like the Freemasons. How many are
My
Freemasons?
God.
I
Yes,
just
it does sound good.
I mean, and I just did it, and I asked, and to see based on population, like who has the highest per capita rate of Freemasons. Number one, obviously, the British.
Scotland.
They founded this, but Norway is number two. We have as many Freemasons as Germany. Germany has 80 million people. We have five. Uh, and I'm not saying that's the reason. I'm just saying that Norway has a tendency towards more sort of elite control behind the scenes. Like a lot of our early politics, I think that's a result of us being governed by Denmark. So in Denmark, you had the king directly, and you had their parliament. In Norway, you just had the Statsforvalter, the Danish governor, and then local elites. And sort of the way Norway was governed was through these backroom deals between the elites, whilst the people, they were mostly ignored. And that translated over into our early democratic process. Like, for example, our central bank, it was not founded based on like popular vote. It was founded based on not a conspiracy, but an effort by three, you could say, senators allying together to push for the foundation of a private central bank. Very important, private central bank. And to do that, they enforced the silver tax upon Norwegian citizenry, which created a lot of impoverishment after 30 years of war. Because, the Napoleonic Wars, this is in 1817, right after Napoleonic Wars, when we have been ravaged, blockaded by
Was
the
that
British
before
for
y'all
like
were
10
a high
years.
trust society?
Well, most of Europe has generally been like high trusts out of the Middle Ages, because feudal systems produce high trust because everything is based on oaths and contracts, and breaking a oath is a death sentence. So everyone is incentivized to be truthful. So that produces a sort of default rate of high trust. So like, sure, there's areas of low trust, but like as a general thing, Europe coming out of the Middle Ages was quite high trust. So we were high trust, but uh,
Well, y'all
back to the
got
point.
taxed. Y'all
Yeah,
got your asses taxed.
they enforced the silver tax on us, and that was horrific. We had two uprisings that were brutally repressed and crushed, and as a result, we
And y'all
basically
still have,
got
y'all sound like abuse victims.
we had been colonized for 400 years. Our
Well, what
elite
happened to
culture
that
was
Viking spirit?
it died in the Black Death. The
Oh
Black Death
no.
destroyed almost
So Vikings are not really Vikings anymore.
twofold. So in Scandinavia, before the Black Death, Denmark, Sweden, and Norway both have sort of two cultures. It's the elite culture and the peasant culture. And the Black Death in Norway, it disproportionately killed the elites. All our elites just died. So Norwegian high culture just
Peasant-based peasants.
died out completely. All our kings, our knights, our nobles, our bureaucrats, our priests, just dead. And what happened afterwards is that the Danish came in. Like, Danish elites and nobles flocked in. So our current high culture is not Norwegian. And it's not Danish either, but it was Danish during the entire colonialization. So like the elites had no real loyalty to the peasantry because they come from two different sources. And it's only after independence that we began having to construct our new elite culture, because every society will inevitably have an elite and the people. And that sort of elite culture was constructed as the merging of Danish high culture with Norwegian peasant culture. And so in the beginning, we had no sort of way to oppose, uh, the Danish elites at all.
Well, thank
And
God that y'all had Ibsen to give y'all
true,
some
but that
culture
was
finally.
after a whole century of nation building.
Oh,
Like the sort of Norwegian golden age from 1890 to like 1910 was after a whole century of nation building, of having to discover ourselves and create our own elite culture. Um, I know this is I'm going to go back to elite culture point because it's interesting, but just on a tangent, that silver tax, the impoverishment that followed is the main reason there's so many Norwegians emigrated. That's the reason there's 5 million Norwegians in America, because they emigrated en masse out of the country due to impoverishment caused by the silver tax and bad governance in the beginning. So if that hadn't happened, we probably would have had like 10 million population today, but we don't. And like we have, we sent out way more people than Sweden did, and Sweden has double our population. and it had doubled then back then as well. So like proportionally, we lost a lot. Like the only country that lost more people per capita was Ireland. So like, and both of those cases are due to famines, impoverishments, and elite mismanagement. In our case, it's our domestic elite, and in Ireland's case, it's the British elite.
Do you think there's a YouTube elite?
Oh yeah, but it's not one uniform one. There's multiple. But like when I sort of got shocked at this discovery a few months ago, but I suddenly saw that all of these like philosophy YouTubers, the big ones like Eschaton and
I didn't
whatever
know
other
that.
names, like multiple YouTube channels with hundreds of thousands of subscribers, are all friends, all communicating on Discord, and they're all like, even though they surface level seem to have different philosophies, like they're all coordinating behind the
But that
scenes.
seems natural that they would all hang out together.
Sure,
They're,
sure, but it's crazy how uniform it is. Or for example, a lot of, I mean, gaming YouTube is that as well. Within sort of Nintendo games, it's all one big community. They're all in communications with each other, and that's certainly an elite. But it's, there's nothing to that word elite. It's just
how
that
do
they
you
are.
make it? Can we make an elite? I think we should create a
I
panel
mean,
elite for
Jeff,
ourselves.
Jeff, the panelverse isn't its own sphere. It's part of the broader debate sphere, even though
So
it's a
we'll never be
subsection of it.
elite.
Yeah, our elites would be like Destiny or Vosh, God
I don't even
forbid,
count
or
this. I can't stand him. I don't even
yeah,
count
but like he is,
or Vosh either.
he,
I
but
don't consider them elite. I have a hard time seeing them as elite.
well, that's I feel more personal bias. Like they are within the same cultural sphere on YouTube as us, and they are like the ones that millions of subscribers and views. They are the ones everyone flocks to. They're the ones who set the speed and the topics and everything. And so, you don't have to interact with them, but they are very certainly the top 1%, the top percentile of the whole debate YouTube. And I think that makes them elites, even if they have no direct power over us down here. They are the top
Yeah, I don't
1%
think
of
they
our
affect
sphere.
whatever anything I do that I know
No,
of.
probably not. I mean, you have talked with Andrew, though. He's like a mid
Is
tier.
he up
He's
in
like,
that sphere? Is he considered that? I don't
no,
count
but
him
it's
as.
close enough that he has debated upwards with like Destiny.
So
I
has
think.
Paul, P.F. Jung.
Well, Paul has tens of like 20,000 subscribers. Like he is growing up to the mid tier there.
James Lindsay just played a clip of one of his videos at the big conference he was at when he was talking with Dave Green.
A clip of Paul.
Yeah, of Dave
Hmm.
Green and Paul on the P.F. Jung show.
Yeah.
And he played it. It was a live conference. He played it on the screen in front of all these people.
I suppose it was a negative view though, because James Lindsay doesn't like Paul.
I don't know what their relationship is. It was mostly about Dave Green, like how he was
Hmm.
alt right, an example of how
Yeah.
I mean woke right.
Yeah. I mean, well, the reason I ask if it was negative is because I've seen James Lindsay has retweeted and quoted Paul on Twitter a few times, if I remember correctly, and he used Paul as an example of woke right. Uh,
James did.
yeah, I'm pretty sure he did.
Oh, I
That he
wonder if
quote.
we can watch it. You think it's a copyright? Like it's from James's
No,
channel.
no, I think it's on Twitter. Uh, I think he quoted James. Let's see, James Lindsay, and then within his channel, search up at PF. How? What is at PF Jung? I don't know how you would search this because I don't remember the keywords. Um,
It's his podcast, the James Lindsay New Discourses. Do you think that that's probably copyrighted?
yeah, it probably is. But I'm talking about what is Paul's name on Twitter? What's the at? Because so I can.
I think it's P.F. Jung.
Is it just PF Jung? How do you? Because I'm trying to search
Or
him
maybe
within.
PF underscore Jung.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I
No, let
need
me. I
light
have it.
for
Let me pull it
this
up.
so I can see better. I'm gonna try to see if I can find what I'm looking for. Okay, it's PF underscore Jung. PF underscore Jung.
PF underscore Jung.
Yeah. Let's see. Did he tweet? Uh, okay, he has. I found one comment, but it's not the one I'm talking about. But it shows that he has talked about it. He wants me to see some validity so he can continue to advance the lie through the truth he thinks I fail to admit. Dialectics always marries a truth to a lie. So he's commenting on the
Oh
dialectical
my God, is
process
this
that
the
he
elite of philosophy too? My
thinks
God, I
that
think I
P.F.
could
Jung.
compete with that.
I mean, I don't think James Lindsay is the elite of philosophy tube. He is not involved with them, at least. I feel like he is a. I watched his. He did a 6-hour 3-part conference back in 2022 on the Gnostic parasite, tracing Gnosticism to communism and totalitarianism. And I watched that back in 2022. So, I was watching James Lindsay and knew about him long before all this modern drama folk, right? But back then, he seems very anti philosophy as a whole. Like I don't know. I haven't read Ayn Rand, so it feels wrong comparing him to someone I don't know that much about. But in the summaries I've heard of Ayn Rand and her philosophy and how sort of anti-philosophical and abstract she was, I feel like James Lindsay is more of that. Like, he doesn't seem like the person who appreciates philosophy in a way that P.F. Jung does, if that makes sense. Now, I'm not going to comment on the whole walk right thing because I've gone back and forth for months. And so, if I've been flip flopping for months, I think it's not that wise to talk about it here and present the opinion I hold now as if the truth when I can change my mind in like a day. So I won't comment on the walk right stuff. But I don't know. I like both Paul and James, though I must say I haven't watched them much recently. I haven't watched Paul in like a few weeks, and I haven't watched James in months. I do listen to him frequently on Twitter, though. I do see almost every post he makes, which I like. I like seeing the thoughts of people out there. But you know, I don't know. Paul sort of stopped being that interesting to me like a long time ago. He just I didn't feel like I was gaining anything from watching him. That's not to say he wasn't useful at all, but it's just that I feel like I don't, learn any new stuff. I don't see things from a different perspective after watching him. All the sort of gain I got from him, I got in the first month of discovering him. Like a long time ago, and around the time I migrated to you, which is
Oh,
funny. But
a lot of us did. Not migrated, but expanded, I guess.
sure, sure. Well, I migrated. I don't interact much with Paul at all. I did go on his show once, though. To be fair, I said that last time, I think. But yeah, aside from that, I almost no interactions with him.
Paul's strength to me, one of his big ones, was the audience that he drew, the community,
Yeah,
because that's a lot of us met through that, and I don't think we would have met as part of a James Lindsay audience or a Destiny
of course.
audience. There's something unique about Paul that draws just a certain type of person.
Well, Jeff, do you think that might have to do with that both of us and a lot of the other in the community that you mentioned all sort of gravitated around Paul whilst he was still small, and we was with him whilst growing? Like, I think we might have seen the same thing as if we compare it to Destiny whilst he was sub 10k. When it's still very small, it's very personable. When you get above a certain size, it's impossible to have a non-curated personal relation at all whilst when you're small, you can.
But his chat is still about the same level of activity.
I
So
suppose maybe
that's where
you're.
most of it happened.
Yeah, maybe you're onto something.
So that means it's the viewers, those particular viewers, and the way they were interacting in the chat together.
Yeah, yeah. I don't remember how I even discovered him. I think
I
it's
don't either.
because of uh, his synthesis of Peterson and Brett Weinstein and genetics. I think he made a video on that, like one of his best videos, which unfortunately he doesn't really make videos of that kind anymore. The, like, I don't know if you've watched it, but he made a video where he tried to merge the sort of Weinstein view on evolution with some more Petersonian view on archetypes and evolution and stuff. So I
No, I
think
didn't
that
see
was
that
what
one.
got me into it, because back then I was heavily in my Jordan Peterson arc, because Jordan Peterson is he rescued me from the belly of the beast. He is the
What was the
reason I stopped
beast?
being socialism. I was a
Oh,
socialist coming
oh,
out of
I
middle
didn't
school.
know. Oh, Jordan Peterson got you out of it?
Yeah, he was my
A video
introduction
or a
to
book?
first videos that I bought. Maps of Meaning. I haven't read it all, but I've read like a big part of it. It's his theoretical psychological book for the audience. Um, I haven't read all of it, but he got me out, and he sort of made me see it. Maybe there's actually some sensible people on the right. Maybe it's not just all evil people. And from then on, I'm where I am now. Now it isn't as if he did it alone. I was one of my new friends in high school. Was more sensible than me. He was a right winger, and so he was the one who introduced me to Peterson. And I didn't know who that was. I think if I knew who Peterson was, it wouldn't have helped. But he just sent me a few clips of him from his lectures, and that really hooked me. I think if I already knew who it
My
was, it
God.
wouldn't have helped at all, because then I would
His
have had my
lectures are
preconceptions.
torture. Like,
I
if you
loved
want,
his
you
lectures.
play them during an interrogation in prison or something to get me to talk,
Jeff,
because they'll
you
work.
don't understand. His lectures is how my mind works. So,
Oh
like, seeing his
no! Oh my
lecture.
God! I would pick a Dobez lecture over Jordan, hands down,
Well,
hands
that's
down.
Jeff. That's
You
because I'm
have
best.
everything he does not, which is concision, focus. Yours is going somewhere.
Yeah.
Hey
Well,
Moose, his
Jeff.
it took him an hour to get to one point. I watched. I started the lecture, and then I fast forward, and I fast forward, and I fast forward. And an hour later, he's still on the same point he was trying to make at the beginning, the same tangent.
I but that is generally the way my mind works. But my father, he has been very good that you need to communicate properly, you need to understand others, and
What does
he
that mean?
forced me to
I don't like
actually
it
try.
already.
No, he forced me to learn to translate what goes on in my mind to something that's actually digestible to most people. I think Pearson sort of lacks that a bit. For
Yeah,
me,
that's what
he's
I'm
very
saying. You
yeah,
whatever that is, you
yeah.
do a way better job.
Yeah,
You don't need him.
Pearson
He
is
needs you.
very digestible for me because that's the exact way my mind works. But for people who doesn't have a brain like that, it's like eating food 90% fiber. It just doesn't work. It goes straight through. But no, he
I
was
just don't need to be hand walked through every detail of a
yeah,
story like I'm in kindergarten. I can be left to kind of infer things and move the story along. And I find him so condescending. Sam Harris is the same way. I can't watch Sam Harris
yeah,
because I feel taught down to every time.
yeah. Oh, also though, on the point you said about how he spends 1 hour on the same thing, I will have you know that today, when I was going on my nightly walk, I went on a walk right before I joined here. I before that I had been chatting with a friend of mine about language, and I pointed out how I I am very sad that English lost. An old Germanic way of expressing what your name is. So in German and in Norwegian, Swedish, Danish, and Dutch, you can say jeg heter, which is an active form of my name is. In Norway, in English, my name is, it's a very passive form. You are sort of passively the name holder, whilst in the most other Germanic languages, you can express what your name is both passively and actively. And I really just love the idea that, I can say that I'm not called Dolbes. My name isn't Dolbes. I heter Dolbes. And it's not the same as I am. We also have that, jeg er. But it's a thing which English lost, but you used to have. And it's very sad that you lost that
Well,
word.
what does
And
it
I
mean?
spent
Can you get it? Can we get it back? What does it mean?
it's just an active version of being
What's the
named
word?
something.
I,
Jeg heter in
I had
Norwegian.
Jeff.
Heter.
Yes,
In German it's heise. And so it will probably be like I
but it doesn't
I
mean am being. I
yeah,
be
it's not
Jeff.
being. It's the active form of my
Of
name
be, I
is.
do Jeff.
No, no, no.
I.
It's the active form of having a name. You don't have a name, you are a name. Like you are, it's a verb form of name. It's genius. I love it. It's so delicious. but but that was like the content is beyond the point. The reason I mentioned it, uh,
I'm a quick learner.
you nailed it. Sure. But the reason I mentioned it is because for at least half that walk, so 30 to 40 minutes, I was just thinking about that alone, and the philosophical implications of your name being an active, or you being an active participant in
Of
the
30
act of being
minutes
named.
of Peterson's talk, you were thinking that?
No. It's
Oh.
just comparatively. My brain thinks like you complained about him staying on the same topic for an
I
hour.
don't
At
have
the
the
same
same
point.
experience with you though. If I'm gonna
Yeah,
listen to a story for an hour, the same story, I'm gonna pick Maggie the cat and Mike Cerrone over Jordan Peterson any day.
true.
As far as
You know,
storytellers, if the challenge is to talk 3 hours about nothing on one single topic, Mike is gonna beat Jordan Peterson any day, no contest.
probably.
You will beat Jordan Peterson.
Maybe I will. Maybe I
Even
will.
the story about the how to say your name was more
Yeah,
interesting than anything from a Jordan Peterson lecture to me.
yeah. I
Just in the
have
way it's delivered.
I have graduated beyond Jordan Peterson, but I still have that little appreciation in my heart for him. He rescued me from the belly of the
He's just
beast.
impenetrable to me. I can't even
Yeah. Well, people are different,
consume
Jeff.
him in the first place because I can't get past, I can't receive his communication because it's so
Yeah.
frustrating to me to
Well,
take in.
just be thankful, Jeff, that if Pearson wasn't here in this life, I would have been a younger version of Notboss. Uh, that is,
Not lies. How can we get you some Peterson? Get a little Peterson in you.
I mean, it's too late for him. He already has his
Well,
preconceptions
y'all
in
were y'all are both fellows socially. He's one of your like former compatriots.
true. Although, I mean, when I say socialist, I mean it's not as if I was that politically involved. It's just that I knew I was. I talked about politics from time to time. I knew politics. I knew what I would have voted for, and but not. It's not as if it's not like right now where I'm constantly keeping up to date on international and domestic politics and
Sounds
various.
more than
And I
most
know
people I
various
know.
politicians. Yeah, but
A
I
sponge.
am what I am. I don't.
Uh,
I am Dolbes. Jeg heter Dolbes. I hate, not hate, no. Uh, how would it even sound in modern English? Uh, I hate Jeff. I hate Jeff. I think het is probably
hat,
something like the
hat,
word. Het.
hat.
Het,
Het,
you know,
het
or
too.
Hess. I
Hess.
has, yeah, Hess
That
actually, that
sounds more
sounds
gay.
better. Yeah.
Hess
I
too.
has jazz. Even though, no. You should say German. Ich heiße. Ich heiße. You can, it's very easy to make German sound gay.
A
That's
gay
the
German.
reason
They
Berlin
have
so
RuPaul's Drag
enraged.
Race in German, a German version I watched.
Germany is a very gay nation. Once they lost Prussia, all that will to power was turned away from the military and towards degeneracy. It's and I'm not saying homosexuality is
To some
inherently
real
degenerate,
unreal power.
but yeah, they are. I mean, I love my German brothers. They are a sibling people. In a sense, they are a child, because Germanic people originate from Scandinavia, and so
Well, that is where all the fairy tales and stuff came from.
yeah, and I mean, even Germans 1,000 years after, like we know that Germanic migrations out of Scandinavia began by three factors: the Bronze Age collapse, so trade with the Mediterranean stopped, so the rich Scandinavia got poor instantly. The Celts emerged, which cut the connection completely because they emerged in like the Alpine regions, and then climate change. It got much cooler, so the agricultural couldn't supply the people, and from that, they moved out of Scandinavia, and that began like in force around 500 BC. But it's very interesting that 500 AD, once the Lombards invade Italy, Lombards in Naples, in Sicily, they are still referring to Scandinavia as their homeland, of wishing to go back to the ancient homeland. So it's still 1,000 years later, that
Well, now you know
you
how the
come from
Jews
me.
feel. Vinny, that's a he lives in front of a freeway. That's a bridge with cars
Yeah,
on it.
it is. It's even a roundabout. It's a bridge, and on the top of it is a roundabout.
We
The
saw it during the day the other day. It was cool looking.
Yeah, it's a very standard bridge. I will say.
Not by American standards. It's
Maybe.
very European and elegant looking.
Jeff, it's not
Very. It was
elegant
an
at all.
old world bridge.
I don't know what you're even talking about, because when I see that, I see just normal cement and concrete and guardrails.
What?
It's like,
Maybe it was the guardrails.
don't you have guardrails in America?
Well, they don't look like yours does. I'd have to see it again.
True. I mean, maybe the big thing is plants. There's a lot of trees there. There's trees
On the
beside the
bridge?
ramp as it goes up. There's trees in the middle of the roundabout. There's trees on every edge. So it's very
So it
green.
does. It is looking elegant already.
But I mean, okay, yeah, but that's like standard. We are very conscious about having trees and plants everywhere they are. Which, this is a fun fact or very sad fact. I need, this is just, my brain works. I got the connection. Um, you know, we fucked up in the West. Conditions like asthma is mostly human caused. It's not by nature that so many people have asthma. It's mostly our fault, because in the 1860s, when Straussmann was hired by the Emperor Napoleon III to redesign Paris, he wanted to plant trees all over the city, in the middle of the streets, the boulevards, and parks. I agree, it's beautiful. However, he committed a fatal mistake. So he looked at trees. You have female trees; they drop seeds. Very much, a lot of maintenance. You got to constantly pick the seeds. You pick the nuts. You got to constantly be there and clean the area. Whilst male trees, that's just some dust in the air. It doesn't matter. And so he planted almost all male trees in all of Paris. And then, because Paris was so beautiful, and they had the Paris what is it called?
Yeah, that
They
expo, the world.
Yeah, the expo, yeah, the World
Yeah,
Expo in
thing.
Paris. They invited all the world leaders. Every big leader in Europe fell in love with Paris and wanted to redesign their cities based on Paris, and that included that tree trick, because it's low maintenance. And then all the minor cities in every single country copies the capital because they love it. And now every city in the entire West is full of male trees dropping pollen and not female trees to pick it up. That's why we have so much asthma, because there's just so much pollen in the air. Like if we had a 50-50 distribution or
I've
something
never heard
closer
that
to, well,
origin
it's
before.
because it's not something you want to think about. You want to think about, oh, just get this inhaler. It's not society's fault. It's not. It because it
Well,
isn't something
I mean, the
humans.
doctor's not gonna tell you the origin. Like, oh, by
Yeah,
the
they
way,
are.
you need this inhaler because some guy back in the
Yeah,
1800s decided to plant some trees in your. He's not gonna tell you
yeah.
that part. It's not relevant to your asthma.
But if I ever become an architect and decide parks, I'm gonna make sure to plant a few more female trees to pick up the pollen, because pollen allergies and asthma and all that stuff, not nice. And it doesn't feel right that one of the biggest respiratory issues in the West is literally us being bombarded with tree cum. There's no difference. It's just that. We're just the seed of male trees is in our noses, in our throats, making us asthmatic and
Making
crying. And
us all kind of things.
yeah, it's, and I'm not saying that they would make pollen allergies and asthma disappear. Like, you don't. There's still gonna be pollen in the air and particles in the air. It's just that the amount we have now is way higher than it should have been if we just planted a better distribution of female to male trees. So tangent over. That's another fun fact for you. That's the way to go with me. I have to share these because I find them fun. I don't actually remember if it's Straussland, or whatever his name was. I think it was Alsatian from Alsace-Lorraine. But I don't want to search it up because then I'm not going to be able to hold a lucid conversation. I'm
I know,
I'm
Kane. They're giving us asthma.
yeah, it's
All the tree cum is asthmatizing the humans.
ah, another fun tree fact. One of the big reasons California has so many forest fires? It didn't have that before humans arrived there. It had a lot, but like not the extreme amount now. It's because in the 1800s, whilst Australia was colonized, the American elites, they really loved the Australian eucalyptus trees, which are extremely flammable. And so they took these really beautiful trees, planted them all across California, and now the entire state of California is full of extremely flammable and dry trees that very easily erupt. Fire spreads very easily, and it's a sort of fucked situation. Also human caused. That's not to say there wouldn't be forest fires. I mean, forest fires are a natural part of the ecosystem, and places like California and the Mediterranean, because California has a Mediterranean climate, those areas are very prone to forest fires. However, California is very much so in increased above what you would have expected because they filled it with eucalyptus trees. Also, I can't seem to, or I'm noticing that Notloss is still talking about Peterson. Is there some like psychological issue here? Like
He's
he's
Canadian.
very
It's
obsessed.
probably a Canadian thing.
Yeah, probably. I suppose so.
Although I will say, Not Laws was one of the first few and only people to condemn that murder video that M Corner made of me.
Amcorn
So
made
I
a
will give
murder
him that.
video of you. That is, I didn't expect
You
that.
know, Not Laws is a troll, right?
Outlaws is he's a
He's so
clown.
to me he's so good of a troll that he can blatantly troll and get away with it.
I think it's because he's a troll on the left, because that's normal leftist viewpoints and behavior.
Is to
It, it
troll.
no no well, yeah, I suppose it's funny though. It's funny though. He's an appreciated member of the community. Let's put it
He
like that.
really
He's
is.
Yeah, he's He's like you know, like CNN when they have a panel, they have like 9 Democrats and then that one like symbolic Republican. That's not us right there.
He's our one.
Yeah, our one. You know, look, we're diverse. We show both sides, and then we point to outlaws. Like, hey, look at that! Look at that! He's our guy, or he's not our guy, but he's the guy. Uh, yeah, I feel like I've talked straight for 20 minutes now, so I'm
You did like
gonna give
almost an hour. We're almost at an hour.
an hour almost. Oh
Yeah.
no!
So you could do a
Well,
Peterson lecture and,
I
and
haven't
improve it.
I haven't thought about psychology in ages. Even though I'm studying
Aren't you in
psychology,
psychology
yeah,
school?
but like I never joined psychology because it's my biggest passion. I joined it because it's the intersection between a lot of my interests.
Oh.
It's but I'm beginning to realize that history is actually the biggest intersection, I think.
Well,
But
we talked
his,
about that about you being a history teacher. You had some reason why you didn't think you'd make a good
yeah,
history
it's
teacher, although anybody on YouTube could see obvious to the contrary.
well, history. You need a history education, and they're infiltrated by commies. Like I looked over the curriculum, it's like 50% Marxist historiography, and that's just not like 50% Marxist historiography, 25% just how to study history through a
There's got to
very
be a
academic and
curriculum
technical
out there
lens.
somewhere that's
Oh,
Marxist
sure,
free.
of course, but not in Norway. I mean,
Oh, not in Norway.
Marx did have his contributions. Like sometimes a
To
dialectical
history?
analysis, yeah, sometimes a dialectical materialistic analysis can work. Never alone, and not always. There's sometimes it just
Can
doesn't work
work
at
to
all.
do what? What do you?
Explain history to understand it. Like the chief goal of history is to understand humanity as it was in the past and how it influences the present.
Because
And so,
history is just storytelling. Like you're selecting an arbitrary set of facts out of a more or less infinite number, and
yeah,
you're
sure,
arranging them into a narrative or
yeah,
creating a narrative around them.
yeah, but
So what are
it's
you trying to understand? That is history.
how
That's
things
it's an
happen.
activity.
Like why does the French Revolution start? Not just that it started, but why did it start? How can we compare this to other periods of history and the present? What should we learn from this? Like those are
Don't
very
start
important
revolutions.
parts of society and of history in general. Like that.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant understand history in the abstract. Like there's some
No. I mean,
abstract something. So
not understanding
understanding specific events.
yeah. And you often there's tendency, at least from the cursory introductions I've seen of history lectures in Norway and history subjects, even including the one I had in middle school, high school, it was they present. Okay, there's two main schools of viewing history. There's the systematic structuralist theory, and then there's the great man theory. You know, is it individual actions or collective actions that define history? You know, it's material conditions, climate change. Is it mass movements, or is it individual people steering history? And like they they start out as if they are going to present these two as equally valid, which I'm not saying they are equally valid. I'm just saying that both are valid, just maybe not equally. But they present these two, and then they basically don't go that deep into the great man theory. They just abandon it. Most events they explain purely through structuralist stuff. So, like when talking about, well, there's a few exceptions. Like you cannot do Alexander the Great's campaigns without Alexander. You cannot do the Napoleonic Wars without Napoleon. But you can do the French Revolution without the great man. And so, there's limits and stuff. But very often they fall into the trap of dismissing individual actions in history completely. Like, not completely, but like almost completely. But history is not the biggest sort of offender. I think sociology is the one that's most infiltrated, and this is actually really sad because I think that sociology, the study of human culture and human groups, would probably be what I would have wanted to dedicate my life to if it wasn't so Marxist infiltrated. Like,
But that's what I'm saying. Don't let it stop you because you have the power to get your own education, and
yeah,
there's
I
got to
mean,
be versions of it out there that are not.
there are, and I am pursuing those, but that means I'm not going to be able to work within the sociological establishment because they still
No, I'm
love Margaret
surprised you're
Mead.
going to be able to work within the psychological one.
Mhm. I don't think I can. I'll be honest. I'm too metaphysical and too philosophical for that. But also for the sociological stuff, like they love Margaret Mead. They believe in a blank slate. They believe in there's no such thing as a savage culture. There's no sort of they take sort of the hippie leftists. My life is actually that. Yes, I live in Norway. Like, what do you expect? I live in Norway.
Hey,
Uh,
Spike.
and so, like,
They take the hippie leftist.
yeah, as the hippie leftist worldview as an objective default, and then analyze it out of that. And they also try to be impartial at, oh, there's no differences between anything, you know. And then at the same time, they clearly show differences. So it's a very paradoxical that sort of seems you have
Yeah,
to
no.
twist your mind. I
I
understand why not many pursue it because when you sit there in a lecture and you see that it's okay, so you're presenting all cultures are equal. There's no difference, inherent
but
differences
equal
between
by
culture.
what? Like equal.
Exactly. They use different definitions of equal all the time with no clear
Well, then they're
differentiator.
just poor communicators.
In one sentence, they talk about weird, Western, educated, industrial, rich, developed, as and then the next it's like, oh, there's no inherent difference between a hunter-gatherer society like the Xhosa than Norwegians. Like, it's silly. However, it's fun. I did enjoy my sociology classes. My teacher was very nice. Must be said, she was not left wing. She voted for the right. I just have to mention that because it's important. But it was very interesting. I think you can still learn an immense amount from taking sociology because at
I
the core of
hated
it,
sociology. It's too abstract.
yeah, but that's differences in personality. I like the abstractness, but like there's still
So then not
actual,
everybody can get something out of
yeah,
it.
I
Certain
can get something out
personality
of it
types.
because there's still culture and data at the bottom. They're still talking about human stories and human individuals and peoples and groups, even if
Yeah, I'd rather just
they
study
are.
that, the individuals.
Yeah, but I mean, the
That
study of
that's the
individual,
that is the most observable unit to me is an individual,
but
or
that is psychology.
possibly a group. That individual interacting with other individuals. So that intersubjectivity. That's about as empirically observable a layer as I can get to. Anything beyond that involves abstraction and
Yeah,
conceptualization and
I mean,
imagination.
Jeff, that is sort of the standard difference between like psychology and sociology. The way they interact is that psychology views reality from bottom up, from the individual upwards. Sociology views it from the group downwards. So it's sort of reverse of each other, which
Yeah,
which is
but the
why I think,
group is not even a concrete
yeah, but it doesn't
entity.
have to
It's
be.
too fuzzy.
It's not too fussy, but that's again,
It
that's a
is.
personality
Like a
difference.
group can change at any second from adding or subtracting one member.
Jeff, I don't want to have this debate because we've had it multiple times, and it's just down to personality.
Well, we've talked about Norway multiple times too. Like, I don't want people trying to come up and police topics or control topics.
True, but
I
okay,
like for them to
I will
emerge. And
not.
this is what's
Yeah,
emerging, and you have some resistance to it. So you try to shut it down. That's what I'm
no,
more interested in.
Jeff, I'm resistant to talk about it because we have discussed it so many times, and it's always
I
come down to
remember
the same
one
thing.
or two times.
I remember 3 or 4. It's sort
Well,
of a,
compared to what else we've discussed, it's not that
yeah,
much.
I mean, okay, sure, but it's a sort of fulcrum point between us. It's where our personalities
I'm,
meet,
I'm
and
trying to
I don't think
understand
it.
sociology, and this is a passion of yours, and
Yeah,
so to me, you should be able to communicate it to someone that maybe does is more skeptical of sociology, and instead it frustrates you. So how are you going to defend your position if you, I mean, your profession if you can't
Sure. Well,
even
the
argue
main
for
thing
it?
is, I don't believe it's fussy enough. I believe groups can be said to exist and more than just the sum of their individual parts, and that is a fundamental difference. Like it's Aristotle versus Plato.
But that's
It's
just the like how would you demonstrate to somebody that doesn't accept that just as
um,
as a starting point like you do?
I don't think I can. I've I think that is something that's it's like John Haidt and his moral psychology. It's very hard, maybe impossible for someone to be able to understand something from another person's psychology because that's just not the way your reality is constructed. The way you view reality, experiences it, live it, is just so different that it's impossible. Like, how can I explain the color red to a colorblind person? It's just a difference in view
Well,
on
I
reality.
think a
I
good starting point was what you said about the ground up or top ground up and top down, because if
Yeah,
we start at the individual as the basis, that's something concrete that we can all
sure, but that's
experience.
more
But then
psychology.
when we reverse that and start from the top down, we're not starting from the same type of concrete as we are with an individual. So already I
No,
notice a difference there.
sure, but I think that group level is still real and existing, even if not concrete in the same way. Like if you look at the tribe of ants, it one individual or is it a million? It's like it's both. It's both. And we are, we're not ants, but we are the most social animals after you social insects. And you don't see a wolf tribe. Well, actually, you do see wolf tribe behave in groups and not just individuals. When a wolf is alone, it has a vastly different set of behaviors than when it's in the group, and the group seems to have a sort of emergent set of behaviors. And for the most social of animals, that's even more so. Now, a big question is this emergent category of behavior and phenomena, is it more than the sum of its parts or not? I don't think that's a question that can be answered in any other way than philosophy. So I think we're stuck there. But you do agree that groups do have a set of emergent behaviors and phenomena that sometimes exceed individual people, though not necessarily the sum of all individual people.
So what you're talking about sounds to me like group psychology, group dynamics, interpersonal psychology, which I still think of as psychology, not necessarily sociology.
Okay, well,
But I
that
do
is a
notice, I will give you, I do notice that individuals, when they get into groups, sometimes they change. They don't present the same. Their behavior is not quite the same as it is when they're alone or one on one. And so I have noticed something about group dynamics that influence how individuality is expressed. So I will, but again, I count all of that under the psychological like
that's fair.
level.
That is fair. I've personally also struggled with where to put social psychology, like because that is, I think it's on the border. It's sort of the intersection,
And
but
that does interest me. What like that
yeah,
interpersonal stuff interests me greatly. Because it's something I can see and watch, and I can see it as it happens, and rewind it and watch the process.
yeah,
Something like looking at a population chart, other than to make like a general statement about a trend or something, it loses me.
yeah. I mean, this is okay. I'm gonna personally theorize based on the information I remember that may be wrong. See, no, don't take this as gospel, but I would view that group behavior and the way our brain functions when in groups is qualitatively differently than when alone. And I think that's we are omnivorous creatures. We're not just herbivorous or carnivorous. We are both predator and prey. And that sort of group mindset and that lone wolf mindset are two separate circuits in the human brain. And I think there is a switch that goes off in the brain when you are in a group and when you are alone. And so maybe we can maybe as a compromise with you, maybe there's not a behavior of the group, but when in the group, the brain functions differently enough that you can say that the effect of this group is
Yeah.
qualitatively
I
different than
notice it all the
alone.
time, and I think
Yeah,
one of the features of autism is that maybe they don't have that second, or it doesn't switch as easily, or something like that. Because I think I'm less affected by the group
yeah,
pressures that I notice other people being affected by, because I see them. I see their effects.
yeah,
I'm just not aware of what, like, feeling them, or what's causing them in other people.
yeah. And I also, this is also more personal theories, but I do think that religion functions on the same psychological circuits as group psychology. So I think when you think religiously, that is qualitatively differently from purely individualistic thinking.
Well,
Your
that's
brain
the
uses
root
the
of
same
the term,
circuits.
is to bind together. It's
Yes,
it's stories that bind a people
yeah,
together,
but
a
this is a
shared
hard pill
mythology.
to swallow for actual believers, I would think, because it's sort of, it's not their, it's more their prey nature that is vulnerable to religion, that hosts religion. And I'm not saying this is a negative thing. I think one of the reasons that humans succeeded as much as we do is that we are both capable of being predators and pack animals. We have the neural circuitry for both. We are exceptionally dynamic. And I
Yeah, I
so it's
I think you're right, except that it varies by individual, and
yeah,
so,
yeah, yeah, of
like,
course.
it's the range is so different. I'd have to see an actual person in front of me and what their level of it is for it to be meaningful.
Yes, but I also think it's more than just in a group people vary. I think it's each individual varies and they can change. When I feel like, at least personally, I am able to just switch. I would say I have conscious control over that. I can, maybe that sounds psychopathic, but like I can switch on. Okay, let's turn off empathy. Let's become like ultra
Well, no, because
Machiavellian
if you have
predatory nature.
empathy to even turn on, you're already, like, more
Sure,
evolved
sure,
than
sure.
a
But
psychopath.
it's functional psychopathy when you can just turn off all connect. Like I can think as if nothing other than my own survival and thriving matters. That's a very different way of thinking than when you think in terms of your place in nature, your place in the hierarchy. So I mean, I don't like to bring up Nietzsche all that much because it's sort of cringe. Nietzsche, have you read him?
Nietzsche, he
No,
was
have
the
you?
last of the great philosophers. You can
Yeah,
bring
yeah,
him up
but
as much as you want here.
I
This is a
think
Nietzsche-friendly space.
okay. I think that his slave and master morality, and especially by the way, I love his what's it called? The one, the Birth of Tragedy. I love that. That book, my favorite Nietzsche book. I don't like his aphorisms. They are
Oh,
very indigestible. I I like his philosophy, but I don't like the way he writes in his later works. So like, I think the only works I'm actually going to focus on are is the Birth of Tragedy and Thus Spake Zarathustra. But
you should know.
so,
Genealogy of Morals is his best one, and that's the Master Slave. In fact, I was gonna do a book club with Flow State on
yeah,
the genealogy of morals, and I've done several streams on Master Slave morality and
I
comparing it to
know,
wokeness and leftist
uh, I
thought.
I know, Jeff. I have the book, but I haven't read it because I just can't get through it. I absolutely hate the way he writes, the way he splits it
Well, now
up
you know how I feel about Jordan
into
Peterson.
aphorisms. Yes, exactly.
And he's Germanic. What are
I
your
know, but he
Germanic
didn't like
brothers?
he didn't like German nationalism. He was, I would
He
say, a
was a
Francophile.
classicist
Yeah, Francophile
and
classicist.
a
By the way,
philologist.
back to the point. Um, I think that his master morality and slave morality and his Dionysian and Apollonian dichotomy that maps relatively well onto individualistic thinking and group thinking. I think, uh, Actually, I with stable morality, mouse morality, I think it's very clear. But right now, I'm a bit unsure if Apollonian and Dionysian that dichotomy actually maps onto it, because I can make an argument that both of them would be both. Uh, so scrap that for now. But I think there is something to it. We think differently in groups and individuals. We have the circuitry for both. And you can say there is a spectrum from the Karen to the psychopath. One is overly individualistic, and the other is overly collectivistic. Actually, I don't like using
And
those
I
terms.
see Karens as like strong individuals themselves that try to
They are
exploit the collectivists, but
I mean,
I see
maybe
what you're talking about.
you can make that argument, but you can also make the argument that they are dysfunctional versions of the maintainers of the group, the people who maintain the strata of the group.
I don't need people maintaining that whole concept that people need to maintain a group.
Not everyone is like you, Jeff. You are a unique individual. You are very high IQ. You have autism. You're very individualistic. You're well read. You're well thinking, and you're relatively self sufficient. That's a very small part of the population. Most people don't want to be individualistic. Like when I talk to people in Norway, most
They
people
want people constantly like hurting them into what they're
no, but
supposed to
they
be
don't
doing.
really want. They want a normal life, and they don't want to care much. They don't want to have to care about politics. They're fine with voting every 4 years, and but they don't want to care about that. They don't want to care that much about what they're taught in school. Why would they? They want a normal life, and I think that is most people. And so maybe you're unique, and you are, and I would consider myself unique in that regard, though not to the same extent as you. But there's certainly something to it. Uh, yeah. So I'm gonna. I got a
Well,
message.
I need more coffee. Can you monologue for a minute or so?
I can monologue for a minute. Of course I can. That's my biggest skill is monologuing. It's the one
Okay.
skill I
I
was
mean, you've
born
gone
with.
an hour and 50. You might as well go a few more.
True. I have gone for a long time already, so I can keep going.
But I'm not even sure you hold the record.
Maybe I probably
We've
don't. I
we've
probably
had
don't.
other talkers on here. All right, I'll
Yeah.
be back.
Well, the reason I don't hold a record is because do you see how my microphone cord lines up with those rib cage or whatever? A spine? That's really cool. Either way, I don't think I have any record in the length I speak because I limit myself. Again, my father, love him, love that guy. He has helped me a lot. He has been very clear that you have to actually think when you talk, and not in the same sense that think about what you talk, though he said that too, but think in how are other people reacting to your talking. When I've talked for an hour, it's time to let other people talk, and I know this is normal for most people. This is how most people think, but that was unique to me when I was a kid. As you can see, I was probably not a well-adjusted kid, at least socially, but that means I love talking. I love talking. And sandwich and toenails? You know what? I'm not gonna think about Mike. Mike is a person I don't think about too much, because when you think about him, then he'll come. Then he'll arrive here now.
You
But
don't like Mike? You don't want him here?
no. I do enjoy him from time to time, but I must say, whenever he's here, he does the conversations sort of peter out, uh, and it becomes often. He is
Because
a
he
man
takes
with
the
so
mic.
much drama. There's so much drama around that man that there's always enough drama to talk about. That's enjoyable. It is, but it can also be frustrating. Uh, but nothing against him at all. And Vinny, yeah, there are a lot of tall ladies in Norway. There are. Uh, but I mean, Norway isn't like monstrously tall compared to white Americans. Average white American is probably just 3 centimeters below Norwegians. Like it's not that's 1 inch ish. Like it's not a massive thing. Like a single inch doesn't mean that we're giants, you know. But yeah, there are a lot of tall ladies here. Uh, though luckily I'm not so short that they're often taller than me. They're not. You know, I'm not the tallest. I am below average. Though, you know, that's a mark of victory for me because I'm at least taller than my dad. So, you know, that's all that matters. Protein milk, really good.
Oh
You
yeah, I
know,
was gonna ask. Let's see.
yeah,
Did you say
it's
protein milk?
yeah, it's
Milk.
chocolate milk with protein.
Cacao.
So
I
21
thought milk
grams of
was
protein.
protein.
Huh?
I
Milk
thought
is,
milk
yeah,
was
yeah,
protein.
yeah. It has protein, but this is even more milk.
Oh, they add
And
extra protein to
yeah,
the.
because this
Oh, oh, okay.
Eat is a I know it's reversed, but it says YT Eat. That's a brand made by
That'd
Tina,
be
the
perfect
company,
for
and
YouTube sponsorship.
they made it together with Olympiatoppen, which is the Norwegian Olympic Council, the the central organ of all sports in Norway. It's like the sports elite. And they made it a good sports drink.
No, it's not
It's
Mike.
good. There you go.
Welcome, Sean. Welcome.
So
How's your
here to
mic
bring
today?
some more chaos.
You thought you'd bring
Some
some more? Okay.
I'm like the junior not laws.
Oh.
I
Well, do your best.
Has he had issues with his mic
Yeah,
recently?
you're left. Yeah, Notlons is not the only one. We have we have people
True,
from all
Well, I'm not a
sides of the
commie.
spectrums.
true. But you know, you
Well,
have to admit there is a there's it's one, you know, there's way more people on the right than the left on this panel.
I think so. Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
means right. Sean is our climate alarmist. Is that a
yeah,
tactful way of saying it?
why the right? I
That's a
wish the right.
tactful way of saying it, yes.
Why the right always like
And
anti-environmental?
you can
So
I
annoying.
don't know, what did you know, in the 200s there was this a big part of the early church debate was if Jesus is coming now, like is the apocalypse now, is the end of times now, you know, how soon is it? Because when the original disciples and early church fathers began dying off, they began thinking that okay, now it's time for Jesus to come. But they had this, I think they had a specific word for the people who believed that the apocalypse was now and imminent. What? It's um
Millennialist.
yes, I'm literally writing it down. Yeah, millennialists. Maybe that's what he is. He's a millennialist. The end of times is near. Climate change will swallow us all. But you know, I wouldn't be opposed to a bit of climate change because in the Bronze Age, Norway and Scandinavia was warm enough to grow wine. We could have wine. We had buffaloes. We had rhinos, and we had lions even. You know, and now it's a cold hell. Europe and the world has just gotten
Y'all had
colder and
lions in
colder.
Norway.
Lions were as far north, like in the
Wow.
in the early sort of Holocene, right after the last glacial maximum, after the heating up, in the Thames in London, you would have rhinos and hippos. You can find hippo bones and rhino bones in the Thames in London. So like, and that's sort of
Wow.
the climate that you arrive at when the Bronze Age comes. Though the Bronze Age is like 2 or 3 degrees below that again. So, but like when agriculture was first discovered, the Earth was way warmer than now, and then it just kept cooling down since then. Although there have been returns of heat again, you know, the classical age. This is actually something that you can. This is a pattern which is really interesting. That if you look at temperature data for the last 10,000 years, you see that during the Bronze Age there's a peak in temperature, it's very warm, so agricultural surplus is very high, or the earth is very fruitful. And then as it begins cooling down, you see the collapse of the Bronze Age world. And then in the the Dark Ages, the first Dark Ages, it continually cools down. Then, around the time of the rise of ancient Greece and then later Romans, it begins warming up again. And then you get the classical warm age. Sort of around the classical age, it was way warmer. And then, as the Rome falls, it begins cooling down again, or it begins cooling down in the 200s. So agricultural surplus decreases, and thus Malthusian pressures increase, and Rome falls. It's cold in the second Dark Ages, and then you get the medieval warm period. It warms up again. So until the early modern period, the temperature of the Earth correlated a lot with the status of civilization because it was so reliant on crops and agriculture. When your entire society has a agricultural surplus of 1%, and then suddenly temperatures drop so that your agricultural surplus is now negative. You don't produce enough food for the people. It makes sense. But then in the early modern era, the agricultural surplus is so much higher than the necessity, and so it's no longer.
Did we go to the moon?
Of course we did.
Well, that's what keep trying to tell you. But are we just supposed to trust? They just supposed to trust us because we
do you really
believe the scientists?
Do you really think the Soviets wouldn't have exploited America lying about the moon landing? The Soviets, who wanted to destroy America, ruin it, and kill all of Western society by any means necessary. Why would they corroborate a lie? If there wasn't something on the moon, they would have played it day in and day night, day in and day out. What? Day in and out, day in and. My brain just had a blue. No, but
yeah, but the conservatives need to believe in science. I mean, I don't want climate change to be real or environmental problems to be real. But the conservatives are
morbid fact.
The conservatives are really anti-science.
Wait, two people. You're both talking. I don't know what's going on.
Sorry.
Both talking? What do you mean?
The conservatives need to believe in science. They believe in God. Now they need to believe in science, and the God of science is real.
Both talking. Okay. I'm only hearing myself now.
Oh yeah, no, Sean is talking.
What?
You're not hearing him?
No, not at all.
Oh, he's coming in loud and clear here. That's weird. We're on the same StreamYard, and you.
What? I am getting pop-ups of bad internet connection.
Oh, maybe that's it.
And it's on when I open Discord, it says update failed, no internet. But how can I talk to you then?
I know I can hear you perfectly, and I can hear Sean, but you can't hear Sean. That's weird. I've never had it happen before.
Wait. I'm gonna. Where's my phone? Where is? Oh, my phone is here. My phone is the camera. You'll have to excuse the loss of the camera for a bit, because I'm gonna check. Oh, it's at 6%. I think I'm gonna have to retire the camera permanently. But I'm gonna check the message from my landlord, because if I remember correctly,
that looks better.
What? Never mind. That was the 1st of September.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we could hear you before, or I could. Yeah, you were talking about Republicans believing in science.
Yeah.
I'm scared of leaving and rejoining though, because if my connection is so bad that I somehow can't hear him and I can't hear you, it seems to be that it can't open any new connections on the internet, but the ones I had before it got the issues is still open. So I'm scared if I leave, I won't be able to rejoin. I'm gonna try to load YouTube and see if I have no internet. I can't load into YouTube
because I can hear you. I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you perfectly fine, and I can see the comments on StreamYard. But I cannot do anything new on the internet. It seems to me that any connection I had before these issues began persists, and
you can't hear me.
that
you're
I tried
lying.
to open afterwards don't work at all. So I can't scroll on Twitter. I can't open YouTube.
Should you refresh or leave and come back?
That's what I'm scared of.
Because like close the browser?
If I can't open a new connections, then I'm gonna risk it. It's late, so if I can't come back, I'll just go to sleep. If I can't come back, I will do so.
All right, if you can.
Wait, actually, I'm gonna see. I can't even find you on YouTube. I can't even find you on Discord. You have to, in the private chat, can you send a link to the StreamYard so I can copy paste it and try again? Because I can't get the link any other way. This is very weird.
It's conspiracy against me. They don't want to hear truth. So the company.
Sean, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, because I can hear you, and which I'm assuming that means the audience can hear you.
But can you post the link?
So there must be a conspiracy. Everything's a conspiracy.
About science, the
truth. Yeah.
Oh, can you not hear me now, Jeff?
But you've talked about that truth here plenty of times. So why would the conspiracy kick in now? It's already on stream.
Well, I don't want to be talking about this serious subject too much. No, let's talk about religion, right?
Okay.
There's the science religion, there's the truth religion, then there's the cults, then there's the political religion. Everything's religion.
Just 4K, not in kisses. Send real money. I forgot to tell people. Speaking of religion, y'all pass the collection plate. Please send something. I'm trying to make money off this thing. What's the third one? You said truth religion,
science religion. What else? Everything could be considered religion, like a belief, whatever.
Well, yeah, depending on how you use the word. If it's just something that like keeps people together into a group, whether it's an activity, a set of stories.
Hello, Dolbez.
Hello. Now
can you
hear you. Yes.
Ah, okay. And you came back.
That was the strangest sort of like internet issues I've ever had. I could see chat. I could listen to Jeff. I could not hear you. Like what?
Yeah, well, that's just life. Yeah, I mean Norway.
Well, what was the third one? Religion, science.
I know it's stupid. Don't worry about it.
No, I'm stupid because I can't remember that third one. Science, truth, and there was a third one.
Yeah. No, but I wish that the conservatives were like more woke. I mean, about the environment and stuff. But there is Republicans that believe in it, but it's minority. I think in Europe it's better. The conservatives believe in it more. But Americans, like, they need to get woker. They need to get educated.
No, you know what we should do?
Whoever's in the back, I can't see your camera.
You know what we should do? We should begin active terraforming.
I'm not sure who you are.
We should begin engineering the planet. We shouldn't just, oh no, climate change, it's gonna rise by 2 degrees. No, fuck that. Let's do everything we can to make this planet as hospitable as as possible. This is the only perfectly habitable planet in the entire universe.
We are doing it. We are currently terraforming, and destroying the planet. So we have to terraform by saving the planet, but we can't really do big things like turning the desert green, or we can do.
We can need the money for it.
Yeah, but it's to turn the desert green. They're doing it in China. They're like huge projects to plant trees in deserts, but it's still not enough. Like they need if the weather gets worse, like deserts to get bigger and stuff like that. There is solutions. I'm not saying terraforming is bad. There's some forms of terraforming that are bad too, though. If you don't do it right, you can fuck shit up.
Of course. I will also add, because just the temperature rising alone isn't necessarily a bad thing. As I said, at least in Europe, it was better.
There is some positives. No, there is some positives, but the most of it is negative. Like if the AMOC collapses, which there's some studies now, following the scientists. There's this big climate scientist in Germany who says that there's a big chance now that AMOC might collapse in the next 50 years or 100 years. And this is big scientists now. I'm not talking smack here. So that's just worrying.
So
And
trust the
yeah,
scientist.
so say what?
Trust the scientist.
Yeah. I mean, I follow the scientists. I don't think they're lying. Majority of them are not lying. They're not people
But
trying
some of
to.
them are.
I mean, the right wing always say that the environmentalists are trying to have like socialist, communist solutions to
That's
it.
only the people
No,
at the top.
I still think that the social you could solve climate change with capitalism but I guess
free market.
you can't make as much money with saving the planet. You know, it's
You
harder.
can.
I think.
You just got to be ambitious. You know how much money you can earn if you made the Sahara hospitable? You know how many houses you can build there? You know how many resources you could extract? Like, greening the Sahara is one of the most profitable things you can do. The only issue is that the starting capital necessary is enormous. That Rome could flatten mountains, but that was because they
Yeah,
controlled the entire Mediterranean basin. Like, if America dedicated as much effort as they did to the Apollo program to any single terraforming project, they could have done it. Fix the Dust Bowl, done. A few trillion over the span of a few
well,
decades,
I,
fixed. Make
yeah, I think we need.
California immune to forest fires, done, fixed. It just requires a lot of money, and with how inefficient the governments are now, surplus money is very hard to come by. But it's possible.
Yeah,
We have the tech.
yeah, I know fossil fuels are very useful. There's a lot of uses for it, especially in healthcare. But I think we can replace a lot of it with other materials. But because fossil fuels are not going to be here forever. I mean, if we use them all, we're going to be peak oil next. They say conventional oil by
I've
2030.
been hearing peak oil my
So,
whole life. When are we going to hit peak oil?
well, the experts say
And I think
Shell.
nobody's arguing, even Republicans. I don't hear anybody arguing against alternative fuels and putting money into
Well, Trump
researching
just
alternative
canceled the
sources of
biggest
energy,
windmill.
etc.
Trump just canceled the biggest wind farm there off New York there, and the Danish are suing him for it. The company is suing Trump
I mean, that's because
because he's.
windmills are
But that doesn't
not that
change anything I
efficient.
said.
Yeah, I know.
Wind,
No. The reason why fossil fuels are so hard to replace is because it's so energy dense, and nuclear is
no,
more
that's
energy
not
dense, but
why.
it's dangerous.
The
No,
reason fossil
yeah, you
fuels are hard
can't.
to
It's
replace is
not as
because it's
profitable.
dynamic. You
Renewable
can easily
energy
turn
is
it
not as
on and off.
profitable.
You can turn it on and
Renewable
off
energy
that
is not.
quick.
Renewable energy is not as profitable. So if let's say we taxed the big polluters a lot, like the cigarette companies, we taxed them a lot. We did advertising, it's all bad for you, and we use that money to fund renewables and all the solutions or whatever. Yeah, obviously the fossil fuels just need to be like, but the problem is that the fossil fuel lobbyists don't want that because they know that it's not as profitable to be in renewables and nuclear and solar and all that. It's growing.
But
China is investing a lot in it, but their pollution is still growing. But they are changing quickly.
well,
But they're still polluting a lot.
the thing with fossil fuel isn't just that there's a lobby; it's that there's no alternative. And I mean, the issue isn't power density. You can make enough wind and hydro and solar power. It's the dynamic. When there's no wind, how do you get energy? When you have a bad year with no rain, how do you get energy? When there's no sun, how do you get energy?
Yeah,
With
you need to
fossil, you
have
can turn it on and
batteries.
off. Yeah, well,
You
yes,
need to have batteries.
exactly. But the batteries right
But
now are inefficient, so
yeah,
they're very expensive
lithium.
comparatively.
Yeah. No, lithium ion are the most energy dense. They're the best, but they're more expensive. The cheap ones are like sodium. That's cheaper, so we could use like sodium.
You need
Other.
scale. Like, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
for
Sand.
comparison, you have batteries, and they are called hydropower. Hydropower is a battery. Like, Norway
Yeah,
right
no,
now
but
is
if
the
you were.
battery for the entire EU. That's how much capacity you would need in just battery. Like, for a
Yeah, but
continent's,
Norway
it's
could do it
immense.
because you have mountains. you have dams in, but you wouldn't be able to. You'll have to build loads of dams in Norway for energy storage. I mean, I don't know. It could be done. I'm not an expert, but I'm just saying that you would have. They say that we've built. Like France, for example, has all the dams possible built already. They can't build more; it's not possible. So if
They
you
have
want
nuclear,
to
so
have
they're safe.
dams to store energy, it can be done, but it won't be enough, I think, for the whole world.
It won't, which is why I understand. Like the issue is, you have a very dynamic source together with fossil fuels, but that's nuclear. And there's two issues with that. One, it's hella expensive, and two, it can only work in an efficient society. Like Eswatini cannot build a nuclear reactor, and so they are forced to rely on whatever they have available. And if they don't have hydropower, then the only dynamic source of energy they have is fossil fuels. That's the sort of the issue. In all Western societies, you can build nuclear. That it's just laziness on our part and lobbying against nuclear. Like in France, in Germany, in Italy, in America, you can build nuclear, and now you've solved it. Now you have solved a dynamic issue. But in every society that's not highly functioning, you can't. That would be a disaster in waiting. And so until we can find some way of giving dynamism to the third world, then we'll see an increase in fossil fuels because their population and economy is growing at such a rapid rate. They need that energy. And if they can't find a dynamic source aside from fossil fuels, they must use fossil fuels. And, so the big issue we face with climate change, if you want to focus on it, is how do you give the third world dynamism and a dynamic source of energy without having it result in nuclear fallout and tragedy? Because I am sure that if you gave 100 nuclear reactors to poor African countries, you'll get 100 disasters if you just wait long enough. And so,
well, yeah,
maybe
obviously you have to
power,
educate people. You need educated people to run those things. I'm just saying that, yes, there are solutions to climate change. Nuclear is one of them, but if you were to use only nuclear, it's a bit tricky. But I think you need a mixture of degrowth, of reduction of energy demand.
Degrowth, bro. The degrowth is good. That's like, why would we ruin
well, for the
our
West,
economies?
for the big countries. I don't think we can. No, but do you think we can keep on growing the economy forever? We can't keep on growing the economy
just
forever.
the
There has to be a
West?
limit.
Why not India and China?
Yeah.
We've had this conversation before.
I am fine with having to degrow India and China. They're geopolitical enemies. I'm fine with that. But degrowing the West is just serving the world on a silver platter to China. Like, who wants that? Like, sure, I know you put climate change at number one, but you must have some
let's say hypothetically,
concerns.
Let's say hypothetically, I was a world leader, okay, and we had one world government. We cannot keep on growing the economy forever in a finite planet, in one planet. So we have to have a flattening out, or maybe a slow decline.
Look at space tech. In 30 years,
yeah, but we won't be able to go. No, Elon Musk's rocket is not working. He's done it 10 times now with his new rocket. They all failed.
What do you mean?
Well, we could try, but I'm not saying we can't.
I would
try,
factor Mars into your equation. Just
yeah, but Mars is probably 500 years away.
Other catastrophes.
Climate change is more important than Mars right now. So
it's part of this. It's all part of the same phenomenon.
Bro,
yeah, we won't be able to terraform Mars. Mars is like way harder than Arctic on Earth.
You can't see that far into the future. You don't know.
Yeah, okay. Well, Mars is like 1,000 years away.
I think you're underestimating the capacity of human people. But, honestly, I know, like, the more I hear from climate apocalypse, that, like, at some point I don't care. Like, okay, sure, shorelines shrink, whatever, the starvation and drought begins. That's not in the West. Like, sure, I have empathy for the entire world, but my primary concern is the West. If the West gains immensely from our northern regions like Canada and Europe becoming much more fertile and livable, that is something I'll have to factor in.
No, Bez, you need to research the science. In north of Canada and Russia, it's permafrost and forest. and when that melts, it's gonna release methane, and it's already happening, and it's gonna have wildflowers. Wildflowers are gonna burn all the time. It's really bad. It's already happening.
I
So
know
look
The
this.
into
I literally
permafrost melting,
studied.
and you
I
won't be
literally
able to
studied
grow crops
permafrost
over there.
methane in
It's
high
not
school.
possible to grow crops up there. Well, you might, but it's shit.
You're
Where are you getting
limited,
this
though.
from? This
You're limited, and
Science.
like you can't
no,
just say.
these like what nightmare like fantastic scenario. These sound
Look,
like dystopian
I
fiction
get this
movie
from
plots.
scientists I listen to. Scientists I listen to about
Well, they're really
permafrost is,
doing a number on your mental health.
well,
well,
the truth hurts sometimes.
That's not
no,
true. What you're talking about is science doesn't have the ability to tell you what the scenario is going to be
The
30
whole
years
point of
from now.
science
That's
is
not what science
predicting.
does.
And they're saying you won't be able to
but
grow
you have a
crops in the
moral
permafrost.
landscape to that prediction. You have a moral landscape to that prediction. Why would it necessarily be bad that it gets 2 degrees warmer on average? Earth has been way warmer, and we were warmer. As I said, during the Bronze Age, you can grow wine in Norway. I would like that again. And that is, you have to consider that.
No,
Sure,
the problem
methane,
the
whatever.
problem with our current climate change is happening way quicker than it naturally done in the past.
We can
We are
adapt to that.
increasing this. Yes, it has changed in the past, but it was gradually. It took like thousands of years to warm up. Now
The
we're
younger
doing like,
Dryas was very rapid. Just saying.
yeah,
The
but it
younger
wasn't
Dryas,
2 degree
very rapid.
warming. It wasn't 2 degree warming. It was like maybe 0.2. I don't know what it was. But I'm just saying that climate change is mainly bad, and the
No,
people
it's
who
mainly
deny
good.
it are
That's your
are
opinion.
are are freaking crazy and delusional and cognitive dissonance.
Well, some of us would say you're crazy and delusional and
The
cognitive
younger
dissonance.
Dryas rose by 2 to 6 degrees in Europe. It's not a half a degree. It was a lot in a few decades, or whatever. It's like climate change. Who there is a moral landscape to this. Just the climate changing doesn't necessarily mean bad. It doesn't necessarily mean good, to be fair. But like there is a moral landscape to this. Do we want that change? Do we not? Oh, it's too rapid. Okay, we'll adapt to the negatives and we'll get a more fertile planet even sooner. Like sign me in. And
No,
we are.
there's side effects. Okay, some places will get worse, some places will get better. There'll be places there'll be like the
That's already going
Amazon.
to
I heard
happen.
the Amazon might turn into a savanna. It's already kind of happening already because they're cutting it down, so it might like not be able to make its own rainfall.
So you don't
There's going to
even
be side
know.
effects.
This is all in your imagination.
I don't
No, I'm
live in the
following the
Amazon.
scientists.
I'm not
This is
Look up,
not
Brazilian.
look up,
science, dude.
look up Amazon forest scientists. They telling us that it's already 20%
They can't
deforested.
tell you if the Amazon might become a savanna or not. That's
Yes, they
something that you're
can. They
imagining
have
might
models. They have
happen.
computer models. They have computer models that they can see after a certain amount of deforestation, it will reach a tipping point and they'll turn it to savanna. The scientists are telling us that.
But
I
they don't
follow the
know if
scientists.
that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, they could predict it with computer models, with maths and stuff.
But you're
Look
using
into it.
scientists and science as one monolithic thing. Like some models predict that, some models predict other stuff. Some models predict, okay, a weakening of the Gulf Stream. Other models predict a warming of Europe. Some models predict, okay, we'll enter an ice age. You know what the climate scientists believed in the 40s and 50s? That we were going to enter an ice age. They wanted increased warming because they were scared of an ice age. And as a European, I'm way more scared of the cold than the heat because another ice age means that all of Scandinavia, all of Britain, all of Germany almost, half of France, all of Russia is covered in ice. Like, sure, that takes 1,000 years, but
Okay, so you
I
don't
don't
want.
want that
So your solution is keep on burning fossil fuels, and will they be able to adapt to the side effects and keep on growing the economy and keep on growing the human population and not care about the
I mean,
environment, not care about plastics, not care about biodiversity, nature, and all that.
I don't.
Is that what you
No,
want?
nobody over here said that. You're not going to find that
I
anywhere
said
on
that
the stream if you
increased
rewind.
warming may be good. I did not say that we shouldn't stop using fossil fuels. Like, if we're going to warm the planet, it should be by our choice, not involuntarily. And secondly, I don't know. I think plastic is a massive issue. I don't like that we use so much plastic everywhere that we're addicted to it, and I don't know. And also increase population and economy. Of course, I want to increase economy and population. I mean, I'm nuanced on this. I like it when Western population is high and Western economy is strong. I don't like it when we're weaker and smaller than the rest. I like it when the West contributed 30% of the human population. I don't like it where it is now. Does that mean I'm gonna go on a killing spree in whatever? No. It does mean that my considerations are more than just a global level. I'm not a globalist. I don't.
Yeah, but you understand that the Western world are the main cause of all the pollution in the world. Like, so
that's
China. All the
like
poor
not
countries
China
in the world,
and India as well. I've seen the charts,
yeah,
dude. I've seen the graphs.
They're catching up, but we started it way before them, so they're catching up quick.
We're talking about now, like where it's coming from now.
Yeah, it's China, India, and Europe, and America.
Okay,
and
so
America
it's not, you keep saying the West. That sounds like the whole world, like all of it.
Yeah, I know, I understand. I'm just saying the West started it, and now it's the
But
Asia
why does that matter
it.
when you're trying to solve now?
I'm just
you need
saying
a solution that addresses
the
what's
poor
happening
countries
now,
are going
not
to suffer
what's
the most
happened when
out
it
of this.
started.
I don't care if the poor countries suffer. I care about Western prosperity.
Yeah, but if they suffer the most, we're going to have to take care of them.
Chauvinist.
Yeah.
We're going to have to take care of them, because if they all starve to death or they want to move because of climate change, then we're going to have to take care of them.
Why
They're going to move here.
Do that? Why do we have a moral imperative to the rest of the world? China doesn't say
because we destroyed their climate. We destroyed we caused climate change, so we have the responsibility. Yeah, India and China too.
So the whole world did. We did it collectively as a planet.
Well, except for the majority of the
stop
pollution
saying the
was
West. It's not a the West problem. It's a global problem.
Yeah, no, the West
is a problem
the
at
main
all.
cause. The West is probably 50% now. 50%.
Okay, the East is the other 50%. That's the whole world. That's what I just said. Stop saying the West.
And
I mean, you could say it. I'm just pointing out how.
Yeah, but it's the West that caused it. We're the starters. England were the first to use fossil fuel.
Why does that matter? If everyone's doing it, if it's a global problem, why does it matter if the West started it?
No, because we're the moral leaders. We are the moral example of the world.
Oh my God! Please, your hero complex. I can't take it.
Are not the ideal moral example. So I'm just saying the West should take the lead. That's all.
We are the moral example.
Well, that's your moral opinion.
Jesus Christ said to sacrifice, and solving climate change is a big sacrifice. And if you're Christian, you like sacrifice.
I'm not Christian, bro. I'm not Christian.
What are you then?
I don't care what Jesus says. I care about the prosperity of the West.
Yeah, what are you, pagan?
That is my main concern.
Nazi?
And climate change
in
that lens. No, but this is very much.
Wow, he even went to Nazi. Just
the West starting it. The West started it. That's why the West should now be punished, despite China being the big issue. And also, on the topic of population, the West is not the biggest here. Like, we began our population boom at the start of the Industrial Revolution before medicine caught up. We got it as medicine advanced. So, like, on average, the West had a population multiplier of like 4 to 5 times, 400 to 500% population increase from industrialization. The average non-Western country got like 11 times, 12 times population increase. If you're talking about the West and, their population is dangerous, we need degrowth. The non-Western world is the big gain in population, primarily because we in the West saw it as our moral duty to sustain their growth and giving them charity. And, that is a good thing. We're a moral people. But that morale comes because of Western supremacy and Western prosperity.
Yeah, and if we decided to educate them and saying, okay, guys, we're going to go degrowth, and everybody else should follow our example. And if they don't follow our example, then they don't get aid or they don't get trade or whatever. That could happen too.
No, it couldn't, because you fundamentally think the world is equal. The only countries on Earth that have actually followed through on degrowth are European countries. It's the West. We are the only ones who are willing to self-flagellate for the cause of the global order. Like, do you really think an African tribal society will accept degrowth? They are finally strong enough to do whatever they want.
Yeah.
That is a very
If there's
Western
too many,
delusion.
if they're educated and they know that they don't have enough food, and people in the West tell them you need to have less kids or have contraception and all that, they might accept that. They might say, yeah, fair enough.
We have tried. We have sent trillions in aid to educate and feed Africa. We literally colonized them. We ruled them for a century where we tried to educate them. Sure, I'm not saying colonization was necessarily a good thing. In Africa, it was almost 100% bad. But as a side effect, we did rule, try to impart civilization on them, try to teach them, build institutions. Like, almost all institutions, all the railways, almost all industry, almost all schools that the British left in Nigeria are now destroyed. They're gone. Like, they got their chance, and they've been kept giving a chance. We've given them so much in aid. It's not a fact of, oh, let's just educate them. That hasn't worked. Why would it work now? There's no incentive for them to be educated, because when they become educated,
so do you want to
lose.
do you want to let China colonize them, or do you want to recolonize? Because I heard there's some Americans now that they want to recolonize Africa.
I would rather us colonize Africa than China, obviously. Why would I want to give away a whole continent to our main rival?
Yeah, well, whatever. Anyway, the human race is in a bad trouble now with all the problems now, politically, environmentally. There's a lot of problems this planet.
That's just your
I'm just trying to do my
opinion.
bit
Like,
here.
there's no way to
That's your
quantify
opinion,
that.
man. Well, I think America's fucked. You guys are probably gonna have a civil war and split up. Europe is fucked. Everybody's fucked.
I don't think
The environment is going to cause more war. The environmental problem is going to cause more war and strife and shit.
Yeah, these
and
no, you can't prove any of
law.
this. Is all stuff that you just have in your head.
Well,
Beliefs about the
follow
future, and I don't have the same
I don't
beliefs.
follow conspiracy crazies like Alex Jones.
I don't have to follow conspiracy crazies to feel like America is not fucked. I live in America. I interact with it every day. It's fine to me. I like it. I appreciate it for what it is. It doesn't seem fucked. It's my own direct experience. It's not coming from any media.
Truly a millennialist.
Well, you gotta admit that there is a lot of crazy shit happening in this planet, and I don't think if we keep at it that we're going to be around for another 1,000 years.
I disagree. I have way more faith in humanity.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not disputing the fact that this century will be one of our worst ones. I think this century might be worse than the last one, but I don't think it's the apocalypse. It's not the end of the times, and again. We have problems, but other countries have it way worse than us. And, and climate change.
And thank God we're allowed to talk about them. We're still allowed to talk about it. But you never know. If the right wing get in power, if there's a civil war, we won't be allowed to talk about the problems. It'd be like China.
Where do you get that from? See, you're doing it again.
Look at Europe a bit. Which side of the spectrum is currently censoring people? Like, look at the UK. Which side of politics is currently imposing draconian censorship laws on its population? It's not the right wing. It's not at all.
Yeah, the UK have I don't know exactly their laws, but they have anti-protest. Like they arrested 500 anti-Palestine protesters. So they arrest both sides. They arrest the left and the right. I don't know what the fuck they have there, but
for protesting.
I'm just saying that.
Good thing we don't.
Yeah,
do that
they arrested 500 Palestine protesters. I'm not sure. Some of them are going to go to jail for five years or something. I heard. So that's mad.
Well, they're getting deported over here.
Yeah, see, you get arrested for protesting for Palestine. So that's hypocrisy. You know what I mean? You can't the right always say we love freedom of speech. Elon Musk does not like freedom of speech. Only for his speech he likes, which is right wing.
I don't know. Twitter's pretty free speech to me.
He is a human. He can say it as a principle and then have cracks in that principle from time to time. But as a general rule, the principle stands.
Yeah, well, whatever. Anyway, so there's a lot of triggering
You made a
things
good
happening in
point.
the planet, and
Whatever.
it's triggering. It's triggering. The whole planet is fucking triggering. Life is fucking triggering.
Yes, because
The fuck.
that is a you thing, not a planet thing. You have
No,
anxiety about everything.
no, it's because I'm woke enough to research the problems of environment because I
You're
think the
just
environment is more
arrogant and
important.
self-righteous.
I
That's what
think that
woke
the
is.
environmental problems are more important than freaking.
But I don't
Uh,
think that. You can't make me think that. You're
Wait,
free to
do you
think
think
that.
that
I'm
the
not
you're
trans?
stopping
Do you
you,
think
but
the
more.
I don't
trans
have to
problem?
think that.
Do you think trans issues is more important than
No, I don't
climate
I
and the
think
environment?
that's probably even less important on my list.
Not everyone has the same hierarchy of priorities and opinions. What is most important? For me in Europe, Russia is definitely a higher point of importance than someone in America. And someone in Argentina has no reason to even consider Russia. That doesn't mean it isn't a problem. Same with climate change. Of course, someone who's going to gain from it doesn't care about it. Like Russia, for example, they're going to gain a lot because most of the land is so cold.
They're
But
not.
like
If you look into
that,
permafrost melting, you won't agree with that.
that now you come out. There can be multiple points of views on climate change. I've seen papers, I've seen debates from multiple sides. You're stating out the apocalyptic side on every single area of the earth. Sure, some areas of the earth will experience the worst outcome, other areas may not. The permafrost, we can fix that. We have overcome
You can't
every
fix
problem in our
permafrost melting,
past.
mate. The permafrost is like 6 feet of frozen soil. It's
I know
melting
what
now.
permafrost is and
Yeah, you
why
have it in
we can.
Norway probably.
We have a lot of
And
it, and we can deal
yeah,
with the
yeah.
permafrost
So
melting.
yeah, and then the trees fall off, and then they burn, and then the pipe. The pipeline, the gas pipelines, and Russia have in the north there. Well, the pipelines are breaking because the permafrost holding them is melting, so the pipes can't even work anymore. The oil pipes
Build
won't be able to
new
work anymore.
pipes. You have the money. We are the richest
It's very
society in human
expensive.
history.
It's going to be
We
very
are the
expensive
richest
to replace.
society in human history. We can use the money to counteract the negatives and then become better than we ever were. We have the money. This crap about, oh, this is going to cost so much. Yeah, and that's fine. You know,
Yeah, but
every
if the
society in
climate
history,
goes to
unless
shit,
us.
your money won't be worth shit. If the food is more expensive, money is not going to be as important.
You are
If you destroy the environment,
underestimating. You are
well, we're we're,
underestimating the
we're
sheer
oh
scale of our economy. Like,
yeah.
China
I
in the
don't
Middle
think the
Ages
economy
could
is as
spend.
important. The world humans have thought the economy is more important than the environment. We're overbalanced it. I think we have to rebalance it. I'm not saying collapse the economy and become everybody really poor. No, no, I'm not that extreme. I'm just saying that we've debalanced it and that the environment is getting affected. And if we don't solve the environmental problems, it will affect really badly in the future the economy and human welfare.
Yeah, it will. But I don't think the solution is making yourself poor. I think the solution is making yourself richer so you have a higher profit margin that we can dedicate to solving the climate.
Yeah, but you should not make yourself richer off fossil fuels, which is the majority of what
I'm
people
not
get rich off.
saying we should. I'm just saying that if you want the third world to prosper, unless you invent something like fusion power, fossil fuels is inevitable. You
Yeah,
can't
but they
circumvent
can
that.
use renewable energy. They can use whatever trees,
We
nuclear
literally talked
renewables.
about this
Trees.
like a half an hour ago that
Yeah, but
there
why are you
is
saying
no.
they should? Oh, wait, are you saying that they should? Are you saying that they should still use fossil fuels?
I'm saying there's no alternative. I'm saying they have no option. They don't have functioning societies enough to have a nuclear reactor, and unless they're
I'm not
very
saying
desperate
nuclear. They
with
can use
hydrogen.
renewable energy.
He said they could use
Renewable energy.
trees. Let's just switch to trees.
Yeah,
Yeah,
bro,
trees.
not all
They can
renewables
plant
are created
trees.
equally.
Yeah,
Aside
I
from
know solar
Where
hydro,
do you run
panels
your
are
car
not as
on?
energy
Trees.
efficient, are not as energy dense. You need more area to get the same amount of electricity as nuclear. I know that.
yes,
But
if
if
you're
you
not
use less
listening.
energy, which is in Africa, you don't need as much, so you can have renewables, and that's
How
it.
are they gonna grow if they're constricted to like less energy? Are we gonna? Oh, this is your limit.
You
No
can't.
more. There's
Yeah, there's limits. Obviously, cars, roads, it all
Hey,
needs
peep
fossil
Mr.
fuels.
B's comment.
they are still plastic, and we are still reliant on them. But like,
You're
they
being
are minor compared to
propagandized,
fuel.
dude. Radicalized. That
I
needs to
feel like I'm
stop.
talking
Anyway,
to a
yeah,
mirror.
it is very hard to replace plastics in cars, and they're trying to use
Right.
hemp
So just
plastic, but
adapt to the
it's
modern
yeah.
world. Turn off the Alex Jones or whoever you listen to. And
I don't think he listens
No,
to Alex Jones. I think he listens
I
to the
used to
other
listen to him
side.
when I was younger, though. That was funny. I
Vosh.
Oh
used to be big
no.
into the conspiracy stuff
Who's your
That's
YouTuber? Who
back in the
is
why.
your
day.
source for like who's the
No, now I listen to mainly
Those
religious stuff, like
DeSantis.
scholar stuff, and climate stuff. But climate change is very depressing, so I don't listen to that as much because I already know the science. I'm like, I don't want to hear it again and again.
oh, that's
Science
Uh,
actually healthy,
changes,
it
bro.
sounds like.
Like science changes. When as I said, in the 60s, the big fear of climate scientists was the new ice age. Then it was the ozone layer, which to be fair, that was a legitimate fear, and
I
they
yeah,
remember
figured
and
out.
what
that.
do
The
you hear
hole
scientists
over
talk about
South
now,
America.
Dobez? Dobez,
I,
all the scientists that I listen to now are all scared shitless about climate change. I don't
Not
hear
all of
many of
them.
them saying it's
I have
fine.
seen
Because they're not
increasing
manly. You need to
amounts
listen to the
of
manly
scientists
scientists.
coming out in public that maybe there's something up with this. I and also I think a big part of the current climate apocalyptic narrative is a moral landscape. They view it as bad that the climate is changing, well, which I don't think that's necessarily the
Gross. I didn't
case.
know that. Aspirin too. I thought that was from a tree plant, a root. What is it? The aspirin. Is it
Came from
sassafras?
willow bark.
Yeah,
Willow
that.
bark. But anyway, I'm going to stop talking about this controversial issue. I got really emotional. My feelings hurt.
That's fine.
No,
That's
that's
fun.
okay. That's
It's fun to
good,
be
I think.
emotional.
Let's talk
That's
about
really
something
the
less
most important
controversial.
like part of this anyway. Is
Movies.
the emotions
Movies.
behind it.
Either way, I'm gonna go sleep now because it's soon 1 a.m. in half an hour,
Oh
and I've
Lord, okay.
talked for a lot. I'm sorry I'm leaving right as we leave the heated debate,
No,
but
this was
it was
good.
very
It was
enjoyable.
like heat without drama.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this debate. I must add,
I
it
did
was
too.
fun, an enjoyable time.
So thank you,
Okay.
There
Sean.
are,
Came to bring a little bit of chaos, and it worked.
yeah,
I think that was expertly.
yeah.
People could take a lesson. Actually,
Yeah, I
So
don't think people got
that was a
convinced, though.
nice use of
That's
chaos.
what I was trying to do.
either way, good night to you too, and have a nice conversation.
Do
All right, good
best
night.
as always. Salut, whatever salut is in Norway.
Night.
Good night.
Yeah. All right, do you wanna leave? Do you want me to leave?
It doesn't matter. You got other stuff on your mind. You said you wanted to stop talking about the depressing stuff.
Yeah.
Is there anything happy going on in your life?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm healthy,
Good.
so it's fine. Yeah.
That's good. Health is good.
We got a lot of honey this year.
Oh, like from bees? Bee honey?
Yeah,
Ah,
the weather was good for the honey, but so that's good. And so yeah. How's Seattle? How's the weather there? Is it good?
um, it's okay. We didn't get much of a summer, and we're already headed into the
Washington.
fall. See, like the cool, somewhat rainy season.
Right.
But it's not terrible compared to other places.
Okay. Right. So, can we talk a bit about philosophy? What did you say you were again? Your philosophical beliefs?
I don't know. I'm a bunch of things. When did I say it?
What you were an empiricist? I don't even know what that
Yeah, I am
means.
a very based empiricist. I stick to things that are observable or experienceable. I'm a phenomenologist technically, so it doesn't have to be strictly physical phenomena, but things that we can both observe and talk about, and instead of going off of just subjective imagination or memory.
So that's what empiricism means, right? the material world or something.
More or less, not necessarily material, but observable. It starts with the senses, the eyes mostly, the ears, which you can see and touch and experience and take in and communicate with other people about because they can do the same thing. So it
All
starts
right.
with facts, it starts with evidence, it starts with claims and statements about external reality that can be tested and verified by others or through dialogue or sharing information.
Yeah, I was trying to do that there, but anyway. So, yeah, what do you think about Ian McKillicrest with his split
I don't know
brain
too
thing?
much about him. I had a roommate that was really into him. He wrote that Master and His Emissary. Is he the one with the divided brain theory? Which is not anything
Yeah.
new. I mean, I knew about it growing up. The left
So, is
brain,
that
right brain, or
scientifically
limbic
correct?
and neocortex.
So one side has a different personality or something, and one is more rational, the other
Yeah,
one is
but
more
even
emotional.
that's so like subjective and abstract. There, I know there's a trend lately, even with Jordan Peterson and Ian McGilchrist and other people, to kind of scienceify the more metaphorical and mythological stuff and somehow tie it to biology and evolution. And I don't, maybe they need that or they're trying to convince a particular audience, but you can talk about all of that stuff without tying it to science or the brain or biology. And so people that go out of their way to do that, it's just adding noise for me. And he seems to be from that tradition, that school.
So, so you're saying that a lot of psychology is woo woo, but they make pretend that there's science involved in it, but there's not really factual science in it.
It's not, well, it's not empirical. It doesn't point to anything that somebody else could come along and observe and test and get similar results with, like you can with a chemical element or a biological organism. Um, it's more, that's kind of what Dobez and I were talking about earlier. With psychology, starts with the individual and kind of moves up or outward, and sociology starts with this abstract concept of the group and moves downward. So to me, that's a less solid or less empirical basis for a discipline than something that starts with the observable world, like physics does, chemistry, biology, all of the natural sciences, meteorology, stuff like that. They take some kind of external phenomena that other humans can also observe and study and examine. But psychology, sociology, you have to be very. The first thing I always ask myself is, what are they observing? What's the observable element here? What are the facts that they're examining? And often that gets kind of muddy or obscured in psychology and sociology and the less scientific disciplines. And so I think people take stuff like the soft sciences, like sociology and psychology, and they take stuff like the humanities and they try to add this scientific validity to them by grounding them in biology, evolution, chemistry, that kind of stuff, neuroscience. But I see them as two different domains, and
And
there's
and
no need to
and
do that. You can
statistics.
talk about all that subjective stuff without needing to bring in science.
What you can do like scientific studies on that, like if people believe that or don't, or what how does it feel to you and stuff like that, and do statistical analysis. That's what Dolbez, I think, was trying to say is something.
Yeah, and I'm very statistics have specific, like I've had statistics growing up in high school, and you use them for a specific purpose or thing. They're not metaphysical. They don't describe reality for you. They're like very targeted, focused tools that you use as part of a larger inquiry into a subject.
Yeah. Well, I don't
But
think
any
metaphysics
like
is.
whatever I'm studying, whether it's the natural world or the humans or the human subjective world, the very first question I would ask of anything is, what are we looking at? Like, what are we studying? What are we looking at here? And I would like any field that would be my starting point, whether it's science or the humanities. And psychology and sociology, I don't always understand what they're looking at or if they're even aware of what it is they're looking at.
Yeah, man, I don't get it. I don't fully get it. I listen to more religious scholar stuff now. So like the history of religion, because I think religion is a big part to do with our psychology and all that stuff,
It
sociology and
probably
all that.
is, particularly when it comes to the afterlife and fear of death, ultimate meaning, purpose, existence, that kind of stuff. I think religion is still a big default for a lot of people.
Yeah, because back in the day, they didn't have therapists or
No, you went
well,
to the
they had
priest.
philosophy. Yeah,
In fact, when I was growing up, my mom first started having to take me to professionals. She'd start with priest. That's the first counselors I went to were these Catholic priests that were trained in counseling, and it was through the church. And then eventually we branched out to more secular therapists through her insurance company. But the priest was the initial attempt at getting some kind of outside help.
right.
And then for other people, I guess it's something like the school guidance counselor or social worker or something like that.
Yeah. So
But religion
now
for
that we have
community
science,
building, like keeping a community together and sustaining a community, it's still hard to compete with. So if you're trying to keep a group of people together and over time, like long term, something like religion is what's going to work for
well,
a lot of
with
people.
since science is debunking a lot of these beliefs, we can replace it with like science clubs, like anything else
Yeah,
that
we
keeps
could, and we
people
have. A
together.
lot of people have. I mean, that's what my Satanism is in a way. And for a lot of other people, it's become political ideology that's taken on all of the same functions that religion has for other people. And so, yes, I
Yeah,
agree,
or
it can
like
be replaced,
environmentalism.
but
Like
it's
there's
going to be
other things that.
replaced with something that's still more analogous to religion than anything else, especially if it's that
What
intertwined with our
you mean?
psychology.
There'll be a lot of falsehoods in it. There'll be a lot of fake news in those beliefs, in the other uh, ideas. But yeah, there will always be mistakes in other beliefs. But I think with science, with the scientific method, we'll be able to correct those false beliefs
Well, but
of the
you keep
different
saying
groups.
false
So
beliefs, but you're mixing science and religion because science is something totally different and it tries to, and I've talked about this many times. In fact, I think I did a whole series on this, but science tries to examine what I call correspondent truth, truth about nature and reality, about the universe around us. So it's after a very specific type of truth. Religion and all this other stuff is something else. It's not after the same type of truth that science is. So to call it false is to use the scientific framing as though the truth that we're pursuing was the same one as science, and it's just getting it wrong. And I think that's to misunderstand things like religion or ideology or belief systems in general.
Well,
So
yeah, I
it's
mean,
it's it's not false in the scientific sense because that's not what it's aiming for in the first place, and it has its own type of truth, maybe a psychological truth, like you started out saying. And on those terms, it doesn't make sense to talk about falseness or falsehood and truth because it's not going after the same type of correspondent truth that science is.
yeah, but don't you
It,
agree that if you believe something that's false, even if it makes you feel good, it it would be better.
we
It'd
do it
be
all. Humans do
ideally
it all the
better.
time. It's impossible to function as a human and not do that. If you look closely at your day to day beliefs, some of them are going to just be beliefs that you adopt because they make you feel good or help you live your life or make sense to you for some reason, but they don't necessarily match up to anything external. We can't we can't help it. Our brains, that's just one of the way our brains work.
So you mean
We
I
all do
couldn't
it. We
use the
do it about
scientific
people,
method?
we do it about politics, we do it about ourselves.
Yeah, but if I want to improve myself, like let's say I believe in something really bad, like races or whatever, anything that's bad, and I try and use the scientific method to find the truth of myself, and I test it and I see what's wrong with it, then the scientific method is a great way to find the truth, which leads you to a better life. Whatever, I don't know.
Yes, that's one way to do it. In fact, I use that. But I would say that's kind of a repurposing of the actual scientific method for personal use, kind of a folk science, because science itself would have multiple people running tests and experiments across the globe and across time and stuff. So it would be just a different scale than you would use it to apply to your personal life for like self improvement. And so for that reason, I would distinguish it from science because it's not kind of a collective enterprise at that point.
Actually, that'll be fun if you did you talk to AI about these ideas? It'll
No,
be fun if you
not
talk
that
to
I
AI
know
about
of.
this.
I've I've talked to the AI about a lot of stuff. I may have, but not that I remember.
It's funny because my mom has there's a special AI for psychology. I think it's called Pi, and
What?
it's programmed to be like a psychology AI, and she uses
Pi
it a lot.
PI?
Yeah,
I'm
it's
looking it up.
specifically programmed for
You're
psychology or
designed
something.
to be supportive, smart, and there for you anytime. Let's ask it. So what can we? What are you having problems with? Oh wait, I have to create an account. No way. Relationship advice, explore emotions. Oh my God, this has me worried more than anything about AI. That it's gonna people are gonna turn to it for mental health support. Good night, Paul. I'm assuming that's Paul Barfly. Good night. Good to see you. I wonder, are there any other AI therapists out there that
Well,
we
I'd say
can play
chat all
with?
the AIs would be good, but that one is specifically made for psychology.
Free AI therapy, start talking in minutes. Your free online therapist, no login required. Let's ask it something. Let's talk to Lotus. Here, I can share the screen. I hope this is not like copyrighted. CBT. Ooh, kinky. What's wrong with you today? You have
Why
anxiety
do I
about the
worry
world?
so much? Why do I
Why?
worry about these big problems,
Because you
environmental problems?
I think it's temperamental personally. Why do hang on, let me get my other keyboard. Okay, how do you feel today? Worried about
Why do I feel anxious about environmental problems?
worried and anxious about climate change and the environment. Let's see what she has to say, Lotus. a significant amount of that's completely giving how pressing and overwhelming. She's validating your shit. I think I'm helping you way more than she is by introducing some reality into it. What specific aspects are weighing on your mind the most? She's very generic. I don't feel comforted by her at all.
Yeah, there's different types of AI. I bet you that the other AI is different.
Well,
It
you know
just
what?
shows you like
Let's
AI is
ask
great.
it. AI therapy. Ooh, Lord, that's too long to read. Hey, hi. I'm worried about climate change environment. Um, let's see what it's. Let's just start there. And those, oh Lord, and those feelings are completely valid. Well, the feelings are. I mean, feelings are what they are. It's a profound and complex. So this is a little more realistic, I think, and nuanced. Climate anxiety is becoming important. You acknowledge how overwhelming these concerns can feel. What specifically is causing you the most distress? Is it the broader environmental change? I think this one's a lot better. Are there particular aspects? Sometimes talking through these feelings can help provide some emotional relief. Your feelings are legitimate. It's natural to feel concerned when facing a significant global challenge. The issue is how much of a challenge is actually being faced. Together we can explore how you're experiencing. Yeah, so far so good. I don't have a problem with this one.
I don't think she knows the she probably is only programmed for psychology, so she doesn't know all the science stuff about climate.
I'm an AI, so I don't have a biological gender. Well, I want to talk to her. Do you want a specific gender? She doesn't have one. That's throwing me off more than anything else. Um, do you understand the science?
Of climate change.
The science behind climate change. That's what's fueling my worry. Yes, I have a comprehensive understanding. I'm an AI, bitch. That's the subtext of what he is trying to say.
Dude,
Greenhouse
I mean,
gases. Did she get it right? Global temperature increase, human activity, fossil fuels, deforestation. Yeah, you've talked about all of this.
yeah.
I can
So
sense that your
the
worry
AI is
stems.
woke, man. I
Huh?
talked to Grok. AI is woke. I mean, they say that Grok Elon Musk had to reprogram Grok to be more conservative because the Grok was criticizing Elon Musk and all his policies. So Elon Musk had to reprogram it to be more conservative. That was funny.
I don't even know what that means because it just machine learns. You can only program it so much before
I
it
don't know what he
starts
did,
doing
but
its
I
own
heard
thing.
he had to change it because the AI was too woke or something.
Well, I know supposedly there's a filter they put on top, like a layer they put on top that affects how the results are output and how they're expressed. And that's where the woke, like that's the one they can tweak for wokeness. And then that's where you get the messages that I can't produce that result or I'm not allowed to say that kind of stuff. It could be harmful to other people or I can't create this image because of the filter that's preventing it from outputting. But that what's going on
Right.
in its little AI brain is not affected by that. That it's just after it finishes its little AI process, it can only output it in certain ways because of the filter. But that's just what I heard. I'm no AI
Right.
expert.
Well, I'll let you go, okay? Nice
Good
talking
talking,
to you.
Sean. Thanks for coming up.
All right.
I
Good night.
enjoyed your
Bye.
chaos. Thank you.
Or good morning, wherever you are.
Yeah, good something. Good Monday. Or it was probably Tuesday over there. All right. Do we have any more panelists? I started early today, so I can go as long as you need. It's been kind of a slow couple of days, which that's not always so bad. And I'm wondering who else is live. Kane's live. Landry's live. Or Landry and Moose. I think they're a pair now. Oh wait, that's and who else is live? OT. Yeah, so there's a bunch of other people live. That's probably why. All right, well, I'm at 2.5. I can wrap up. This was a good little stream for the day. A nice change of pace. I like these. Not as I was gonna say lucrative, but none of this is lucrative so far. Not as much as it's a niche content, but I enjoy it. It's more my style than all of the drama. All right, what's tomorrow? Tuesday. I'll probably be out tomorrow, so catch me then after work. Meantime, have a great rest of your Monday. Enjoy the panelverse, or try to enjoy some real life if you have it. And we'll do it again tomorrow. Take care, people. Here we go. Okay, start from the beginning. Hang on. There we go.
Rockin' and rollin' till the top hops on.